tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Good morning, beautiful people. What is going on? I'm waiting in Blake and Aaron. I don't know where they are this morning. Ah, there they are. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We are good. How you doing? Let me fix it.
Fantastic. All right.
How's that?
Fantastical. You're live on
I know.
CMR.
We're live. Woohoo. Yeah, no, yesterday I didn't go and do the test, or else we could have sorted that out before, but oh well.
Which test?
Oh no, because I don't like to take the board off when I'm going, like if I have a minute, just because if I have to look at the board too quick and I freak out and then I can't get us live quick enough. I don't know. It's really just how I work. It's my
It's no problem.
my weirdo thing.
It's no problem at all.
No problemo.
It's no problem at all.
We worked it out.
We did.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had a little staycation at the Kimpton. My wife's birthday was Sunday.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I was off yesterday. It's Valentine's Day, of course. So
Yes.
we stayed Sunday night. So we woke up at the Kimpton on Monday with crappy weather, but that's okay. There was like nobody there. It was
Oh,
great.
that's nice.
Yeah. So we had a blast. Miles had a good time.
Awesome. Good stuff. So does she get, because her birthday falls before Valentine's Day, does she get gypped a little bit, you think?
Oh, not at all. She
Okay.
got a staycation and a gift.
Jim and I didn't even mention Valentine's Day to each other yesterday.
There you go.
That's just not our thing.
That's
That's
yeah.
I just realized that.
But if you came home with like a bouquet of flowers, you wouldn't be like gobsmacked, would you?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I didn't get you anything.
But you would appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't actually like getting flowers because my cats eat them and some of them are poisonous.
Okay. If he brought you home a nice gift and said,
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, sure.
you know what, Aaron, I love you.
Yeah, it'd be cool. But it's just not. It's not like for us. It's not like a holiday. We have 2 wedding anniversaries. We'll just take those.
It's definitely we got cards for each other for
Yeah,
Valentine's
like that.
Day. That's
Okay.
what we did.
Like you could do. Yeah, like something like that.
And then
I'm not like a big thing.
Miles got mommy a Valentine's Day card, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I could have done that.
Yeah.
I could have, but I didn't.
Listen,
Yeah.
we had croup in the house recently, so
Yeah.
we don't need.
I think Miles might have it.
He
Not
has croup
sure.
now. Is he barking?
Well,
barking cough is
It's not
croup.
really a bark, it's just a cough.
No, you'll know if it's croup.
Stand by.
Maybe it's COVID.
No, he doesn't have COVID. Let's here we go.
Cats and dogs can get COVID. It's a thing.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. I'm great. How are you guys?
We are excellent. A little cloudy, rainy morning, but
Yeah.
it's going to be nice the rest of the week. So
Well, I mean, yesterday.
the rain.
Yeah, yesterday we were talking, and you said that Prince Philip tested positive for COVID,
Oh,
The second
really?
time.
and
Yeah.
Camilla did now.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
really?
Not surprised.
What are they
yeah.
doing?
I think they're fine. They're vaccinated and everything, so they're just.
Well, yesterday
Chilling.
was Valentine's Day.
But I'm
so
wondering, yeah.
hard to keep them apart.
But I'm wondering how
Hello.
does Philip keep getting this? This is his second time.
Oh, is
Where's
it?
he out there partying? Who's he hanging? No, I'm joking.
Maybe he's got BA2.
No.
Is that the?
Oh,
by the
No,
way,
he would have. No, he had it in the early days, so it would have been like original. Like,
Yeah, he
OG.
probably had Delta. Now he's got Omicron.
No, I think he had like OG COVID before Delta. Even.
By the way, I'm sure British Airways doesn't
Alpha.
appreciate the new coronavirus variant nickname, BA2.
Yeah.
So they don't like that.
I'm sure Delta didn't enjoy it in the first place either.
I'm sure there is a flight 2 with British Airways.
Yeah.
They probably changed that. Okay, we need to get rid of BA2 right now.
Yeah. Anyway, what else is going on?
So the police are asking the public's assistance in locating a wanted man. This is quite the story, actually. Remember the story we told you yesterday about the $1.4 million worth of cocaine? Well, they have the guy who they think is responsible. His name is Alan Ronald McLean, 54-year-old, and his last known whereabouts is at the house where the $1.4 million worth of cocaine was found.
Wow.
And so the police are looking for him. They say he's to be considered armed and dangerous, and he should not be approached by the public. But if you see him, simply call 911. So, quite a situation.
If you do come across him, though, he may be very chatty.
Oh, jeez.
Just don't chat with him.
So, this guy has quite an interesting history, but he's been embroiled in the drug trade for a minute. I don't personally know him, but when the story came out, somebody called me and they're like, "Oh, it's this guy," and I said, "Really? I've never heard of him." But they're like, "Yeah, he's been in drugs and all over the place, Honduras, Cuba." So. Anyway, that must have been quite a haul. I mean, I don't even know what $1.4 million worth of cocaine looks like, but it probably took the RCIPS truck to help remove it. Sounds like a lot. And in other news, it's going to be a lot easier for people to get their British passport sorted out. So the governor's office has essentially announced that your BOT passport can now be picked up from the local post office. You can have it delivered for you at a very small fee. So if you're interested in delivery services, you should definitely check that out. So passport collection has gone to a new level. So the Cayman Islands Postal Service, has streamlined the process. And I think this is great for everybody, really, to be honest.
I'm waiting for mine.
So you can get it delivered $5.
Got it all in. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for my naturalization to go through.
Does it excite you to get a passport via the postal service, though?
Yeah.
Oh, I get mine. Here in the U.S., it comes to the postal service to the
consulate. You pick it up. I mean, they actually contact you when it's ready, which I mean, normally doesn't get FedEx back to you.
Yeah,
I thought it was already pretty easy, but
for the FedEx.
Anyway, the post office will contact you for collection, and then
doesn't that add a little extra time to receiving your passport?
I don't know, but maybe the delivery option might be good.
I'm still waiting for my birthday cards from 2 years ago.
I'm still waiting.
A lot of parents
for the States for Christmas.
Oh, those were already nommed.
Lots of parents will be happy to hear that their kids can now get vaccinated. As of this Thursday, the BA flight will be bringing in some 2,000 doses of the properly packaged pediatric Pfizer vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it will be eligible for all children, not just those that are considered high risk. Because remember, it was just kind of limited to them because of how it was being administered. Essentially, they were taking the adult
That's
vaccine.
what I was just going to say. Okay, so they were giving it to high risk kids already, but just microdosing them.
Right, because it hadn't been packaged properly for whatever reason. It took us a minute to be able to get access to that. I think Dr. Newton explained this a couple of weeks ago, actually, but essentially they were holding off on, making it widely available because it takes a very special person to know how to do it just right, extracting the right amount and administering it. So now it's going to be fine. It's going to be properly packaged, pediatric version, the right amount in the vial, and should be good. So that arrives on Thursday's flight. And then we're expecting the HSA to provide all the details on the rollout for all parents who are interested in getting that done.
You know what I saw at the Kimpton while I did a little staycation this weekend is they have an actual testing facility.
They have it all in the hotels.
Do they?
Yeah, so that the tourists can do their LFTs and get
That's
it
amazing.
and get out. Yeah.
I didn't know it was at all the hotels.
Yeah, these are all things I found out that would have been
useful
yesterday.
It's run by Doctors Hospital. So they have, it's almost every day. I saw the schedule. So if you're actually staying at the hotel, as Aaron said, if you're a tourist, Makes it really easy.
No, but I think you can too. Like anybody.
Yeah,
can
I think
go
anybody
there.
can go there. So you can pop down on your
really?
2, 5, and 7
Yeah.
day and get tested by
And let's be honest, they're
Doctor's
probably less
Hospital.
full than Truman Modern.
It was not crowded when I every day that I walked by. Which
I don't want to laugh because that's money out of people's pocket. The tourists that aren't coming because of all of the situations.
I think that's something that
around
should be promoted because it makes
does make it easier.
really convenient.
Yeah.
If you're staying there, then you have to go anywhere.
Go grab your coffee,
That's it.
get a cotton swab up your
Yeah.
nose, and
Maybe
move on.
Doctor's Hospital should do some more advertising.
Yeah. Well, they do. Actually, this segment's but advertising that they're around at different hotels. I don't know how that. I mean, it wouldn't really matter to locals, I guess, as much as it would to travelers. But
No, but they can do a confirmation PCR if you travel in.
Mm.
They could go and do all that, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
they could do the confirmation PCR at any of those places. It's just you can't do the exit.
yes, they need to.
No,
change
well, they
that.
don't do PCRs at the hotels. Sorry.
It's lateral
They do the
flow.
viral flow.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those are your morning headlines. There's lots more going on in the world. Just a quick regional story. The U.S. has requested the extradition of former Honduran president. This is not a good sign for him. You guys might have heard previously that his brother was taken into police custody. And now that he's no longer president, it looks like they've made a move for former President Juan Orlando Hernandez. So they actually surrounded the former president's house on Monday following the request. And the Honduras Supreme Court of Justice called an urgent session of the full court on Tuesday which is today, to choose a judge to consider the extradition request from the United States. So this is kind of a big deal if you are paying attention to regional news.
Yeah, but what did he do in the U.S.?
Drugs.
Oh,
it's always drugs. It's always allegations of drugs and narco trafficking and all the related offenses such as money laundering. Yeah, his brother was heavily involved, allegedly. I think they might have actually convicted the brother already. So a lot of people wondered when it would be the president's turn. So maybe they were just waiting until the election. And now that they have their first female president ever, Honduras is moving on with her. And yes,
Hopefully.
Senor Juan Orlando Hernandez might be heading to the U.S. to hear charges.
Okie dokie. Well,
all right,
good.
guys, have a fantastic rainy day.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Me too.
Awesome.
It'll be sunshine tomorrow. All right.
All right. Remember, we never appreciate the sunshine without a little bit of rain. So there's nothing wrong with rainy weather. I see some of you already requesting a topic discussion for today. We're going to get into it. Trust me, I actually made some tea this morning. I was talking to my aunt yesterday, and she's like, girl, you were bringing it today, Sandy. Nothing like a little peppermint tea and a little bit of honey. Most mornings I just drink ice cold water. I do have my water, but I also got my tea. So I think people, I don't know if it's nature and nurture or whatever, but I think a lot of us, we just have a natural inclination. You either prefer something hot first thing in the morning, or you prefer something cold. I can go in either direction. I don't drink coffee, so I feel like my hot options are like tea or tea. Hot chocolate. I'll do hot chocolate occasionally. But yes, some nice tea. And then I try to do, because when I do a lot of talking on this show, the show requires talking, right? So when I talk on this show, I find that I do need some water to kind of soothe the pipes. So what's going on? Wow, what a day yesterday was. Woo! Lord have mercy. We're going to talk about prep school. We're going to get there. That conversation is so much bigger than just a single show that in my mind, I'm working out how to have the discussion in a meaningful and productive way, like working towards resolutions. Because I hate just talking about things for the sake of talking about things. I like things to be resolved, don't you? Ugh. All right. So what did we have popping off yesterday? Oh, geez, I'm peace. Well, during the show, there were two jackasses of the day, essentially. Was it 2 or 3? Should we include Dr. Frank? And by the way, all these people from Nigeria and wherever else they're from that keep messaging me every morning, can y'all please stop messaging me? I'm so sick and tired of you all. This morning, I woke up to one that said, oh, can you please send your, let me block this one. Oh, I always report them first and block them because I'm hoping that once you report them, they get that number blocked from WhatsApp. I don't know how on the ball WhatsApp is. But this one messaged me at 1:33 a.m. Hello, HELO. I was from Nigeria. Please, can you come to Nigeria to introduce your business office? Dude. Next thing he'll be saying to me is, I am a Nigerian prince looking for a princess. Are you interested? No, I don't want you messaging me. I don't care where in the world you are. Just scammers. Ugh, what a hot mess. Anyway, child, they must have thought I was stupid, born this size, as I always say. So I don't know what it is. I think that because the page has been getting a lot of traction, especially on Facebook, they've been messaging us through that WhatsApp number. Am I the only person who thinks that technology has to get better, where certain things should be easier to do? Like here's a tech question. Everybody buys these AirPods from Apple if you have an iPhone, which, by the way, there was a benchmark test done the other day, and the new iPhone way outperformed the Samsung, whatever their latest phone is. So I know there's always a big debate between Samsung and iPhone, and everybody's like team iPhone or team Samsung. I'm team iPhone, and really and truly, it's because I am used to an iPhone. So that has been my primary device. A couple times over the years, I've ventured into, let me try a Samsung for a hot minute. And then it never lasts. Like, I'm used to the iPhone keyboard. I'm just used to the entire interface. So it's always really, really challenging for me to go to an Android device. But, I think Android devices have, they have some benefits. A lot of people like them. They have fancy cameras and all kind of stuff. But so I was reading an article this weekend which showed that iPhone and all the benchmark tests really outperformed the Samsung devices. But I'm thinking technology-wise, Apple sometimes take a minute, despite how amazing they are with technology. Sometimes they take a minute to really introduce like security measures. So remember when they had the people all stealing iPhones, and then they really cracked down on basically you can't do anything with the iPhone. You can't wipe it. You can't do anything unless you have the original credentials for that phone. And then the thefts of iPhones dropped significantly because nobody couldn't steal your iPhone and actually do anything about it. Tracy says, please watch out. A message from Laura de Sosa. Is that a scammer? Joshua is team Samsung. What? It's all right. I feel it's all love. It's all love. Like, I get it. And I think once you're used to certain devices, it really is hard to switch. My biggest thing is I like the iCloud, where I can back up everything in the cloud and I can have access to everything so easily. Like, for me, updating a device I found was like really challenging with the Samsung. Like, I had to use third-party apps to try and transfer stuff over. Joshua says, right now I'm watching this on my brand new iPad mini 6. Wow, nice. I got a new iPad a couple years ago, and I feel like I'm so underusing it because you can do everything on these iPads now. Occasionally I use it. You know what I use my iPad for? Watching YouTube videos. Like, I like to watch YouTube videos. Like if I'm sitting in bed and whatever, and I'm not in front of the computer, the iPad's perfect for it. Occasionally I'll put up a story using the iPad, but people can like draw, like do artistic stuff on the iPad. You can do Excel documents. Like, they're like little mini computers now. So I'm assuming this Laura de Souza person is supposed to be some scammer. I don't know. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Miss Ann. Morning, Tracy. Siobhan is here. Joshua is here. Jake, where have you been? Jake, did you get a new car? Was that your car? Like, I was trying to figure out your posts. I saw you flossing with a white Benz. I thought, is that a new car, or is he just liking the car and posted up? Because, I know you guys like your cars. So it's a beautiful car. White is always a tricky color when it comes to vehicles, but back to my tech point, right? The AirPods, why don't they secure those better? Because if you lose an AirPod, which my husband did recently, he lost the whole thing, the case, everything. So somebody got lucky and he didn't want to tell me that he lost it. This is before Christmas. Because they were my AirPods and I just wasn't using them. So one day he picked them up and he's like, oh, you don't use these anyway. I'm just going to take them. And I was like, ah. So all of a sudden he was everywhere you saw these little AirPods and he lost them. And then one day I was like, by the way, I haven't seen you wearing your AirPods this week. What happened? He said, oh, I kind of lost them, but I was looking for them before I wanted to tell you. And I said, Apple, can't you secure them where they're locked at, like once you pair it to device, it's kind of like resetting the phone. You should not be able to repair those AirPods with any other device unless you have like a code or whatever to do the pairing process. That can't be difficult technology in 2022. Come on now. I feel like Apple always needs a little bit of nudge in the right direction, but you know what it is? Folks, they probably make a little bag of money. I think that's like their number one selling like accessory. So they make a lot of money. And every time you lose one, you run out there and buy another pair because you love them so much. Yeah, that's what's going on. So I think it's kind of a money thing with Apple, but you know, brand loyalty, I feel like is so important. And we can certainly, you know, encourage brand loyalty by giving your customers a little bit extra. Security is always good. All right, Sasha, good morning, my dear. Racism at prep. Ooh, chill. We're getting there. Louis. Oh, my apologies, Louis. Yes, this morning in the capital of the new ex-president of Honduras is being blocked because of an extradition order for drugs. Wow. So they're actually gone as far as blocking him. I figured it would only be a matter of time, Louis, because once they nabbed the brother, and the brother was all up in the presidency from what I understand. And, you know, they say sometimes the apple doesn't fall far. And so a lot of people, even locally, would say, listen, there's no way that the brother was doing all of this and his brother, who is the president, el presidente, had no idea what was going on. And probably more than that, was really quite involved. So the U.S. was just biding their time, honey. And then they came a knocking. Buenos dias. How would you say open door? Abrir la puerta. Abrir la puerta. Is that right? Open the door. We are here. United States of America, the DEA. I wonder who issued it. Would it be the DEA? Yes, probably them. But anyway, that's a hot mess. U.S. Requests extradition of Honduran president. He was already on a blacklist, apparently. And the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, this month said that there were credible reports that Hernandez had engaged in significant corruption by committing or facilitating acts of corruption and narco trafficking. Ooh la la. So his attorney says that authorities are being unfair to the former president and that they are violating the rule of law by wanting to execute an arrest order, violating the procedure that is established by law. Well, like I said, in Honduras, the Supreme Court is meeting today, I guess, to consider this extradition order. It's always very interesting when this happens because I think, you know, we look at things very, very closely in the region. And remember when they had wanted to extradite, what's his name in the U.S., in Jamaica? What's his name again? What's his street name? Everybody knows his street name. Don something or another. He was the Don of, like, he was a big deal in Jamaica a couple years ago. Prince Charles. Did somebody say Prince Philip? Thanks, Carol. We're always getting our royals mixed up. Thank you, my dear. Dudas. Remember Dudas? Morning, Stephen. Stephen, are you still in Europe? Where did you move to again? Scotland, England, somewhere? somewhere in those parts. So yes, Dudos was a big deal in Jamaica. And remember when the Americans requested his extradition? I think for a minute there, the Jamaican authorities thought about not handing him over, which would be a really stupid move because everybody in Jamaica kind of knew this was like the worst kept secret, right? In terms of who he was and how he was connected and whatever. And he was like, this was like a family business. I think his father was like some big don in Jamaican stuff as well. Anyway, turned out to be a little bit of a mini war in Jamaica when that request happened. Do you guys remember this? And then they caught him dressed as a woman. He was trying to disguise himself. And quite ironically enough, a lot of these guys, when they're on the lam, when they're on the run, they will do all sorts of things. The Mexicans are famous for having cosmetic procedures. So they will literally go under the knife and have a new nose, probably some new lips, some cheek injections, whatever. They try to change their facial structure as much as possible. Some have even gone as far as like trying to burn off their fingertips so that there's no fingerprint records to identify them by, which is crazy. Why not just live a crime-free life? I mean, it's so crazy you have to do all this stuff, right? Just for drugs. I mean, I understand. I guess they want fast money and whatever, but you can't even put your head down at night and sleep good when you're in that business, because either the feds or the government where you're from is going to come after you, or your competition is going to come kill you because they want some of the drug trade. Surely there has to be a better life. But I get it too. Like when you grew up and that's all you know is street life and crime and whatever, it's hard to pull people out of that, right? So Tracy says that's how Mr. Asia left New Zealand. Who's Mr. Asia? I don't even know who he is. Yes, Dodos. What a thing. Jim Brown was his father's name, right? And didn't his father get killed in jail, like some mysterious death where he was like burned to death or whatever? You know, a lot of these guys, when they get caught, this is the other thing. Like you're not even safe after you get caught, especially if you stay in like Honduras, Jamaica, whatever, because all the people you've been working with, like, oh, he might turn state's evidence on us, and now we got to eliminate him. And trust me, some of the people they're working with are corrupt officials as well. So yes, what a hot mess. Good luck to Senor Hernandez. I think the U.S. is gonna get him. I don't see the Honduran officials like really working too hard to protect him. You know, in Honduras, there's always this undercurrent of the political arm being so corrupt and stuff. And I think with the new president, there's a lot of hope that maybe she's going to be different. So last year, his brother, Juan Antonio, Tony Hernandez, was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years for drug trafficking. Now, you know, when they add time to your life sentence, that means you are never coming out alive out of prison. Don't even apply for parole. There's no possibility of parole. They have no intentions of you ever getting out. What a hot mess. Okay, so yesterday we ended the show hearing that a couple things were happening. Jackass #1 in West Bay, Wilson Mendoza, was tormenting the Adams family yet again. This dude is something special. I do not even know what to say about him. But he's really something else. And you know what he did yesterday is he went and created this fake account. Y'all know some people are very special. So he went and created this fake account named Ellis Ebanks. And it's so obvious when you see these accounts that you just know that they're fake, right? So this person was very, very interested in defending Mendoza. So have a look at some of the comments that they put up. And then I'm going to talk about what happened to Lavelle because she got arrested yesterday as well. So this was Ellis Ebanks' fake account defending Mendoza. Now, first of all, there's only two people in the Cayman Islands that I've ever seen trying to defend Mendoza. One was Dr. Frank, and then one is this fake Ellis Ebanks. And then Mendoza himself, I suppose, which Ellis Ebanks is Mendoza. Dr. Frank, bless his little heart, He thinks that anyone that gets on there and agrees that one thing that he says is a good person and is someone that he should be defending. Yeah, all right. So this person was all over the place. Oh, I've been informed by Wilson Mendoza. First of all, Wilson Mendoza ain't got no friends. So right there, that should be a clue that that was a bold lie. He's got his kids and his wife. Nobody else wants to be friends with this guy in the neighborhood, that's for sure. He's just not a good person. So they claim that they've been informed by him that he created a new road for the Addams family. First of all, follow the logic here. How does Wilson Mendoza, this shows if this is not a classic definition of a narcissist, I honestly do not know what is. How do you, Wilson Mendoza, create a new road? What gives you the legal authority? Hold on a second. Is he the NRA? What gives this dude the legal authority to create a new road? That's not even how this works. Oh my God. When I saw that, I was like, this dude is something special. He creates a new road? Oh, yes, because you're the Cayman Islands government. You're the National Roads Authority. The irony of it all is he's accusing the NRA of not following the correct procedure for the compulsory acquisition of the right-of-way access that has existed for some 45 years. Now he jumps up and he says, oh, I've created a new road for the Addams family along the southern border. Wow, aren't you special? That's why he closed off the old one. You don't have the legal right to do that, Mendoza. You can't remove an access point that has existed for 45 years. He is such an idiot. I mean, I'm sorry to call people that, but honestly, he really is. People need to start telling the truth, he says. Well, the truth is, you are a very troubled man. Seriously. Even this fake account that you've created, by the way, he claims that he lives in Tampa, Florida. Alice Ebanks. Let's look at the fake account that he created because I always find these so humorous. There it is. There's Alice Ebanks. Talk about she lives in Tampa, Florida, supposedly from Georgetown. No photos, no nothing, right? Just created this account to be able to come on here and start commenting. Oh, look, they're a fan of Loop, CNS, and The Compass. Thank you for not being a fan of CMR. We love that. But yet, you're all over CMR commenting. You're not a fan of her page. These people are so idle. I like the picture. I think this is the picture right off of his property, actually. Isn't that funny? Anyway, Mendoza, a.k.a. Alice Ebanks, stole some little lady's picture to put up. You're special in more ways than one, I can assure you. So yes, he believes that he has the right to create a road. You're special. I'm going to try to find out today. I am going to court. And I'm going to try to find out today if I can inquire as to if that case is listed with the court of, this would now be the, Court of Appeal, which will be the highest that he can go with this. So if it's listed with them, I need to find out what the situation is. So I'm going to be over at court today, folks. The sooner they get this over with and the sooner NRA, I really hope that NRA has, they're like on standby. The second that judgment drops, they need to be in a position to go and put that road in. Enough playing around with Mendoza. This is really becoming it has been for a very long time, a despicable situation. And I think it's going to be getting more and more dangerous because whether Mendoza realizes it or not, he doesn't have anything to fear from the Addams family. Trust me, they're the nicest people in the world. They wouldn't hurt a fly. But I do feel like he's putting his own family and himself in harm's way by what he continues to do to agitate the situation. Because there are other people in West Bay who are sitting there watching this And they really don't like that he has come in and has been able to do what he does. And I know he thinks that he has all these cameras around the house and that somehow that's going to offer him all the protection in the world. But Mendoza, you might want to rethink what you're doing, because your actions ultimately have consequences. And nobody wants to have this conversation with Mendoza, including the police. You know, you continue to agitate an entire community, and I can assure you all the cameras in the world will not help you if people have had enough. So Aliana says you own land, not the road. And this is why he feels like he can usurp the law and take it, because the road bisects his land. But the real issue is NRA and government to put their foot down and let the law. Well, I mean, they're trying to do that, but he is trying to, at all possible angles, stop them from doing so. Now, the irony of it is, like I said, this access point has existed for a very, very long time, and it's codified. It's actually registered with the land registry. But because he kept interfering with it, and what was happening is because, you know, it's still an access road. It becomes a bit of a civil matter. The government then decided, after we did our protest a couple of years ago, to step in and make it a public road. Because once it's a public road, if he does what he's doing now, he'd be arrested and hauled off like Lavelle was yesterday. That's where now the police will have much greater power. And that's exactly what needs to happen. He thinks if he closes off this road, even as they're waiting on a court date. And I mean, who are his lawyers? Is Ben Toner and them still trying to represent this idiot? I can't remember who his lawyers are, or was it KSG? Let me see if I can find out. Let me message someone over at KSG. You know, they would really advise their client. They would be well advised to give him a bit of legal advice that he should not be interfering with the road while the court case is pending. That alone should be reason for the police to step in. I don't know why that's not happening. So Darlene says the road could have been gazetted, made public a long time ago. This only started until Mendoza purchased his land and resided there. Maybe the road got politically favor gazetted. No, let me explain to you what happened, Darlene, because you need to understand what it was. There was no issue with the road being an access point and right of way for 40 years before Mendoza moved in, now 45 years. So why would the government make it a public road? It was literally the only people that were living down there was the Adams family. So those types of roads are not normally prioritized. And we can certainly ask the NRA how this works. But that would be political favors if a government minister all of a sudden had his road turned into a public road with no real reason. It's not like it was other people traversing the road. So government had no reason to do it. Think about this. It's a very logical and legal situation. Sometimes a law makes sense, and this is one of those situations where it completely makes sense. Why would that have been the case? And what I fail to understand is Mendoza's inability to understand the exact same right that he's trying to prevent the Adams family from having access to an right-of-way access. He himself is benefiting from. How do you think Mendoza gets to his own property, Miss Darlene? He gets to his own property by going over 3 other parcels of land. You know what I'm saying? Those people have permitted it. They're okay with it. They have no issues with him. But his parcel is now the 4th parcel, and that's where he wants the access point to stop. So he just wants to be able to get to his house, and that's it. Miss Darlene, the other thing is, be very, very clear here. When Mendoza purchased the property, he was well aware of the existing access point. He knew that this right-of-way ran through his property. We've been over this, I feel like, a couple times as well right now. Let me see if I can quickly find the map. I don't know if I can, but we've been over this. Not only did he Let me find the article. I feel like it's in an article even. Not only did he know it, but he got a discount. He bought the property from Crosby. What's Crosby's last name? Ebanks? He bought the property from Mr. Crosby, being well aware of it, and took advantage of a discount of the land. So how then you gonna come in and talk about you want to change it? Come on now. This dude is just jackass of the day is too nice of a word for him, but what I want to call him, I can't call him in a public radio station. Well, not a radio station yet, but you guys know what I mean. It's a live stream. Children might be listening. He's a real special piece of work. And this isn't about, oh, do I like Mendoza? Listen, right now I don't like Mendoza because he's shown his true colors over the last couple of years. He's shown the type of narcissist, is the nicest word that I can think of, that he is. This isn't about liking him or not liking him. This is about this man who has no respect for the laws of the Cayman Islands. So you see it right here? Nobody else would have been accessing this. Okay, so I can confirm that his attorneys are KSG. So thank God it's not Ben Toner. Ben probably told him no. Anyway, oh, sorry. You guys, I forgot that I was sharing my screen. Ooh, I guess you guys saw me use that little profane word describing him. But anyway, hopefully you didn't see it too much. Woo, this church, this Mount Neverdorian church, I'm sorry. Ooh, Aunt Lottie'd be like, Sandra. Yes. So anyway, so let's have a look at the little map here, folks. So Miss Darlene, I want you to be very crystal clear about what I'm saying here. Oops, let me increase it. So you see it goes from King Road. I think this is King Road still. Yes. Over 1, 2, 3 people's piece of land. This guy, Mendoza, is the 4th one. Before he came along, all of this was greenery. And this for 40 years took you to only one residence. Why would NRA be like, oh, we need to make this a public road? They've now named it after a couple years to Lisa Lane, but there was no reason. You know how many access points like this exist in the Cayman Islands? And there's never an issue with it? You certainly don't have people trying to block it like this guy is doing. So he comes in after 40 years. These people have lived here peacefully. Purchases this property, gets a discount on the property because of this access point, because it does split his land. He's over here and he's over here. Yes, it does split his land, but he knew that before purchasing the property. If this was going to be such an issue for his narcissistic personality, you know what you do? You do not purchase it. It's so simple. But no, he had intentions from day one of purchasing this property and then annoying this elderly couple who can't even enjoy their retirement. The Adams family is actually so fed up with this guy. And I keep telling Ms. Lisa, I said, just hang in there. Mr. Mike, just hang in there. This guy is going to get his and then some in life. Just hang in there. Trust me. They can't even enjoy people coming to visit them because of him now. He is a neighbor from hell. So his plans, let me tell you what this is. So this over here is his house, which, by the way, does he still owe all those contractors? Let me tell you the type of person he is. He has contractors come and work on his house and doesn't even pay them. Does he still owe Mr. Bodden and all those other people for working in his house? He owed the Tyler. He owed all kind of people money. This is the kind of people that we're inviting with open arms into this community. So, you know, he builds his house purposely on this side because he has plans to put bungalows, Airbnb bungalows over on this side. And he doesn't want an access way going through his Airbnb bungalows. He should be banned by Airbnb before he even builds a structure. Anyway, that's what's going on here. And he thinks that because this is, let's go back to the fake account, Ellis Ebanks, this is what he's looking at, I guess. He feels like, oh, this is beachfront property. So he's going to make millions of dollars because every Airbnb person is going to want to come and look at Cliff Rock because they're so desperate to see the ocean. I mean, it is King Road, which is the heart of West Bay. I don't even know why he thinks this is prime Airbnb property, but whatever. So this is what this poor family has been going through for the past 5 years. Him wanting to cut off what has been an access point for 45 years now. The entire time that they've lived there. So he wants to create his own road, which is still going across other people's. Let me ask a very logical question here. This supposed new road that he has created, did he go to any of the landowners that he was, because he wouldn't own all that land, you see? Did he go to them and say, oh, can I cut through your property and create a new access point? You see, it's just amazing how people think. They want to enforce one situation, which they think is right and legal. And then on the other hand, they're actually breaking the law themselves. So he wants to create a new prescriptive right. Oh, this is what you should use instead of this. Did he speak to those landowners? Did he get their permission? Something's wrong with Mendoza. I'm sorry, but this makes no logical sense. It makes no legal sense. So what he's trying to do now is he's trying to claim that, this is why it's all tied up in court, that the government did not go through the proper procedure of notifying him, which is a bold-faced lie. Trust me when I tell you. NRA and this government was bending over backwards in order to accommodate Mendoza. So much so that when they took down his wall, they promised him that they would rebuild his wall at the expense of the people of this country. You see, this is where our government now and government departments do show a degree of favoritism, Miss Darlene, but it's not in favor of Caymanians. Y'all need to wake up. Hear what I just said. Because he's such an ass, right? And carrying on like he does, he blocked NRA employees. Once again, had that been me or you, we would have been hauled off and arrested. NRA comes to do a job and you physically block them. The guys were standing up there for hours, unable to do their job the day that they showed up to be able to put the public road in, to start the process. You and I wouldn't have such a luxury of being promised that, oh, we'll rebuild your wall. Oh, let me pat you on the hand. Oh, Mendoza. Okay. The police go there and he invites them inside his house. Oh, let's sit down and have some crumpets and tea. Every single officer that goes there, oh, come inside. I need to talk to you inside. I can't talk to you outside. And he tries to sweeten them up with his lies and fakeness. And he did have, unfortunately, the premier's brother-in-law. What was his name again? I can't remember his name now. Groves. He had him all up in that Kool-Aid, where Groves was trying to intervene as an officer of the law and tell the Adams family, well, why don't you just do what Mendoza wants? Why don't you go through some other access point? And I was like, something wrong with these police officers. It's just absolutely ridiculous. They've done everything. Bend over backwards. There is tape footage of this man threatening Mike Adams and Lisa's children about he's going to kill them. And nothing has happened to this man. He's gone unscathed. I do not understand it. It is one of the most peculiar things in the world. So Mendoza, Darlene, forgive me if I have to disagree with you, because the truth of the matter is this man has been given more consideration than anybody deserves. Here's all the land papers, by the way. Remember? Everything is right here. Here we go. That's the parcels of land. 40-plus-year-old maps. When was this article written? This is back in 2020, 2 years ago, almost. 40-plus-year-old maps clearly show the easement. See it right there on the map? Can't miss it. Okay. Not only does it show the easement, but since then, they took the Adams family went to the expense of having it codified. So in other words, the land registry, the registrar, now has this registered. It's not just prescriptive anymore. And this is the treatment that these elderly Caymanians get for Johnny come lately. Only in the Cayman Islands is all I can say. I wish that there are times that I wish that this country was, well, maybe I shouldn't go this far. I won't say I wish it was Jamaica, but we need some people with a Jamaican-like mentality to deal with the likes of Mendoza, because this wouldn't be happening. Him and his wife are from Trenton, New Jersey. Apparently the wife's mother is somebody named Treaty Santiago. She was a Poochie from East End. Wow. I can't even imagine having any Caymanian connections. Her mother must be ashamed of her. You can't talk to your daughter and say, this is not how Caymanians live. This is not how we treat the law. This is not what we do. So there is the easement that runs over 1, 2, 3, 4 multiple parcels of land. It's a 20-foot easement. But he wants to stop the easement at his road. He wants to take advantage of it. He wants to take the benefit of it. But nobody else should get the benefit. It is really, really shocking. Why is my video not playing, by the way? I need to fix this article. Because this actually has the video of the kids. I think it might be of him threatening the children. This is a YouTube video. I gotta embed this back in. Let's see if I can still open link. Can we still get to it? Oh yes, it still works. And him allowing his underage children to pelt rocks at the Adams family. Look at this. That's his children, folks. Those are going to be the Caymanians of tomorrow that we're going to soon have to incarcerate. Because you have a parent who is so disgusting that he would allow these little kids to be throwing rocks at the homes of elderly people. Of course. Of course he's allowing it. You see, this is what happens. Bad parents normally equals bad children. I hate to tell you. You teach them no discipline. You teach them no respect. Somebody says Miss Darlene knows everything. They said, good morning, Sandy. Darlene knows everything about the access point as she lives around the corner by the church at the beginning of Kings Road. I only wish he was in a different area of West Bay. His ass would be beaten so much he would want to see a rock again, talking about blocking a roadway. Someone else points out about the children. Says, oh, so he also wants to enter the Adams family at the back end of the house. Araya, I'm guessing that's one of his children, is the oldest boy. He's in school with her and he's so bad. Oh, shit. Sorry. Okay, his oldest son is in school with another child. I'm understanding what they're saying. And he's always cussing and going on bad at the school. Of course he is. Of course he would be. You think I would expect anything different from that type of a situation? You know, you're growing up in a home where your father has no respect for the laws of this country. And you're going to raise children who have respect. That's not how it works. You have to lead by example. You have to show your children what it means to be respectful of others, especially their elders. So the fact that his eldest, I don't know how old this kid is at church, cursing going on. I mean, at school, that would not surprise me. That would sound like what's going on in that household. And I don't really like to get into the innards of people's households, but I can tell you one thing. From my observations, I feel like that's a very sad, depressed, and abusive household. I think his wife is actually being abused, honestly, because a narcissist is going to take that on everybody around them. I think she herself is a victim. And part of the reason why she plays along with this and allows him to torment the neighbors is that takes a little bit of attention off of her. When he's out there picking up rocks like he was yesterday and tormenting everybody else, that's less energy that he probably has to be going after her every day. And so she's probably like, good, honey, go and block the roadway. Yes, you do that. I've heard her talking. That's exactly how she sounds. Go and block the roadway. Stop them from coming over our property. Because then you see, she doesn't have to put up with him as much. No, sir. Let's look at him again. Here we go. So, yes, folks, he is still very much at it. And the system seems ill-equipped to deal with him. Even as the law, the courts are going to be considering this case, he would not and should not be able to do anything to interfere with the peaceful usage of the parcel until government, the courts, not government, the courts, the judiciary makes a decision. I mean, it is just unbelievable. So, is there any more access for the other family to have access and use that is trapped in this situation? What other access? The 45-year-old access isn't enough? What other access? Like I said, he's trying to create another access, and I don't know exactly how he's doing that. That is against the law. So what other access would you be referring to? So Mendoza wanted to claim that, oh, they owned another parcel behind them. Mendoza, here's an update for you. They don't own that property any longer. It was never intended to be an access point. So no, Darlene, there is no other access. But help me understand the thinking, Darlene. Why would we allow a man to come here who knew about the access point before he purchased his property, got a discount because of it, and then tries to change it after 40 plus years. Why would that be allowed? Somebody said he wouldn't be able to do this in New Jersey. You better believe it. And the police seem incompetent in this situation, as they do in many other situations. It's just, it makes no sense at all. Emma says we're giving him too much attention. No. We need to give him attention. You guys need to understand the implications of having people like Mendoza in your country and how disruptive they can be. He needs more attention than this. Everywhere he goes, people should be looking at him with a certain eye of, like, really, dude? He goes to CUC to pay his bill. Everybody should be like, Mendoza, that's you? Dude, you are something else. He should not be getting a warm welcome anywhere in this community, while he goes around breaking the law and preventing people from being able to access their home. El Rey says, back in the day, Eldon Rankin or Charlie Russell would have sorted him out in a Puerto Rican second. Like I tell you, her mom and I told her nothing about Caymanians. Even those from East End would have sorted him out. Where's Graham Rankin? I mean, he needs to put a posse together. A lot has certainly changed in this country, and it's not for the better. Believe me when I tell you. Sanya says, thank God for Cayman, because if he was anywhere else, he'd probably see another side that he would not like. Yep. Yeah. Allowing them to throw rocks at people. Boy, I tell you, when I saw that video, that demonstrates and says so much about that family. Like when I say to you, that there's got to be a lot of turmoil in that household. Sasha says, I think you hit the nail on the head. She probably doesn't have a say otherwise. I believe that. I honestly believe that she is also a victim of him. And she has to put up this united front in order to probably not get beaten up at night. Miss Darlene says, with no disrespect, maybe our neighbors that maybe have, or when they maybe had the money, maybe they should buy another property. Why? Darlene, what you're saying makes no sense at all. Someone trying to tell them to do what their land after they purchase it. But this existed before he purchased it. That's not this situation. This is not after he purchased it. This right of access went in. Miss Darlene, go back and look at the maps. It has existed in fact, how do you think he even got to his house to be able to clear that piece and build it? Come on now. He has taken advantage of that property, of the access. And now he wants to cut it off from other people? Bad mind worrying selves. I don't understand that. I honestly cannot understand, Darlene, how you're taking this position, because his position makes no logical sense. Oh, someone says, I just realized who Darlene is. She's defending him because he's constantly in her yard fixing things for her. Oh, Lord. I can't read the rest of that. But anyway. Somebody else said if he was in Puerto Rico, he wouldn't be alive to talk about it. Who employs him? As far as I know, he doesn't work. And that, again, is probably part of the problem. He's very idle, so he's not employed. The wife works at Ernst & Young. He doesn't work. Somebody else says Darlene needs to stop because she must be getting a retainer fee for defending his BS, probably. I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense. You're telling somebody else, oh, you go purchase another piece of land. You go out of your way. You go out of this for an access point that existed before the man came. Before he was probably even born, Miss Darlene. How old is Mendoza? Is he 45 yet? That access point existed before he was even born. How you can come and try and change things up? That's not how it's supposed to work. Sasha says, I don't understand why Caymanian men, especially West Bayers, allow him to do this. And I have strength to fight each other, but can't defend a Caymanian elderly couple. I'm going to keep sipping my tea on that comment. This tea tasting mighty awfully good today. Jonathan says, to be a little fair, if NRA needs to put the road down so the Adams family can have their access, they should, because I've seen government waste money. They're trying to do that. Jonathan, keep up now. Here's the sequence of events. We got wind of this back in, I think it was 2019. During the lockdown 2020, we went out there and protested once we could legally protest. The NRA finally said, all right, we're gonna put a stop to this after all these years of being tormented. They send out all the notices. They, because they have to do all the notices go out. We're gonna make this a public road. Mendoza, let me give you all a little bit of inside track into what a friggin' narcissist he really is. He then runs to Mike Adams' son, not even to Mike Adams. This guy is so disrespectful on so many levels, right? He does not even have the audacity to go to Mr. Mike himself. He runs to the son. Oh, by the way, if your father stops them from putting in the public road, we can work this out. Oh my God. This is a man who has been tormenting this family for years. When government said they're going to take control of the situation and put in a public road, put in proper infrastructure, pave it, they're responsible for maintaining it. Oh, he doesn't want that. Now he's begging them, we can sort this out amongst ourselves. Why would they believe that? This is a man who has made their life a living hell for 3 years up until that point. So they said, no, thank you. When the NRA showed up to do their job, Jonathan, him, Crosby, and his wife got in their vehicle and blocked the NRA, and there were other people there. There was somebody from, I want to say the surveyors, Lands and Surveying, because they were there making sure everything was precise. He physically blocked them. Then the next day he runs to this law firm, KSG, and he gets an injunction to stop the government, because, it's easy to get an injunction, It's really not that hard. So he's like, oh, we're going to sue them. Him, Crosby, and one other guy, I forget what his name is, who's also a landowner in the area. Oh, government didn't go through it the right way. They didn't tell us how much they're going to pay for our land, and which is stupid, because that's not even how the process works. They have now lost the grand court case. Let me go back and tell you when that happened. I think that was last year. So they lost the grand court case in October of 2019, he gets an injunction. So he runs to court because the NRA was there to put in the road. He runs to court and gets an injunction. Okay. Then in July of 2020, he was blocking the road again. Y'all need to go and read the articles in sequence. The police showed up and they said, finally, somebody grew some balls over the police department. And it was at that point that they then decided to arrest him or impound his vehicle. So they actually took his vehicle. Here you go. This was the day that the police did the right thing. Didn't last for long, but this is them impounding his vehicle because he was using his vehicle to block the roadway. And now the police, once again, who spent numerous resources attending the scene on countless occasions, had to attend the scene yet again. Now, keep in mind, folks, that the Cayman's government had attempted to intervene and take over the situation with this public road. Mr. Mendoza has stopped that process by running to the court and getting an injunction in place until God knows when the actual court case can be heard. In the interim, nothing should be done at that location. But he seems to think that an injunction means that he gets to do whatever he wishes. So the government would be the only one who stopped in terms of the injunction, and he can put back in his road, and he can put back in boulders
blockades to prevent free access to the residence of Mike and Lisa Adams. The police commissioner attended the scene last night. Our sources indicate that the police commissioner did not appear to be pleased, but yet again, with this situation, he was being forced to deal with this, which I'm sure he has quote-unquote business that he could have been attending to. Nonetheless, it came to a head late last night, and the police decided he would not move his vehicle. So the police decided that there were actually two vehicles blocking, a black Mercedes-Benz.
So, Miss Emma, I'm going to actually share the link with you guys. You can go watch it. It's unfortunately you can't hear it very well, but let me just share the link. Go and watch the video. So that was the one time the police finally did the right thing. They went ahead and impounded the vehicle. Now, the wife's Mercedes that she drives, they were going to take that as well, but they didn't want them to take that. So they quickly moved that one out of the way. And then they took the SUV. This is what this guy has been doing for years. He's disgusting. This is unbelievable. So it goes in lulls. Like something happens to him where for a minute it can be peaceful for like 1 or 2 months. And then it kicks up again. Right? That's what's happening now. Court case was the other day. Of course, he didn't get what he wanted because nothing got recorded on their record. The judge said, you guys need to go away, keep the peace, get mediation. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. A couple months later, this is what he's up to. Can somebody let Philippa McFarland know? Because the next time this comes before her or any member of the court, they need to see what is actually happening here. So in October, that was just the other day, he lost the case. So he's not happy. A 45-year right of access. The court said, the Grand Court said no. Let me see if I can find exactly what the Grand Court told him. The Grand Court did not find in their favor. So now they're appealing it. Right? And because he's appealing it, he thinks that during that time he can be permitted to continue to harass his family. How can this be allowed? Mendoza. Right? Crosby, Cullimore, Ebanks. It was a 59-page judgment, folks. Let me see here if I can show you all a little bit of the judgment. 59 pages. And the court said, not today, Bobo. Okay. 59 pages. Let's get down to the judgment section. So they go into the Roads Act. This is a very detailed judgment, by the way. He was claiming, oh, they were in contravention of his Bill of Rights and his this and his that and blah, blah, blah. Pure foolishness, pure foolish legal arguments. I tell you, lawyers will take your money to argue any kind of nonsense when they're ready. So the court was looking at the Cayman Islands Constitution Order, claims under Section 21.6, alleged breaches of Section 7 and Section 15, compatibility with the Roads Act. So they're making all kind of fanciful legal arguments. Rupert Wheeler of KSG, attorneys for the petitioners. Michael Smith of the Attorney General's office. Right? So it's Mr. Crosby, Wilson Mendoza, and Mario Gomez. It's shocking that he could find any Caymanians to stand up with him in this foolishness. So they go through the factual background. They received letters from Lands and Surveying Department. The NRA gazetted a new public road at West Bay North, West Block 4B, Boundary Plan 626. The notice listed the portions of land required for the construction of the road, including 3 portions owned by the petitioners, and stated that the plan was available for inspection at the offices of the NRA. They went through, I mean, bless her little heart, the judge here went through in great detail. What does the Cayman Islands constitutional order say? All of that is here, right? The approach to constitutional interpretation, the issues. The petitioners say that there's an omission and that they wish to appeal the declaration made, but the Roads Act contains no right of appeal. That's not how it works. And you keep scrolling and eventually you see what her decision is. They lost the case. She had to interpret law. What does this section mean? Let's look at other legislation. Once you have enough money, these lawyers will argue anything on your behalf. I can tell you that. What's the natural and ordinary meaning of these words? Definition in the Constitution. Principles of statutory interpretation. And it goes on and on and on. Right? It is a lengthy judgment as they go. Fair trial rights. Petitioners' arguments. Respondents' arguments. That would be the Attorney General's office because they're suing the NRA and the government. Discussion and case review. The judge went into all of it. The bottom line is they lost the case. But do they stop? No. Now they're going to take it all the way to the Court of Appeal. And in the meantime, this is my point right now, whilst it's going to the Court of Appeal, that injunction should mean that nobody does anything, including them. How do they think that they could get an injunction in place to stop the Cayman Islands government? Right? And then they themselves want to continue doing something. That's not what an injunction means. An injunction should mean everything is at a standstill. What the position was before, the 45-year access point, it should remain that way. It's very sad. And like I said, only in the Cayman Islands. Okay, let's read a few more comments. Siobhan says, because the same way they have done nothing, ensure peaceful usage of the road, they will run and lock up the person or persons who tried to defend them. Don't forget, it was Mr. Adam who wound up being charged the last time. Shannon says, whoever married him should be ashamed, but I guess she has status too. And if she's Caymanian, who the hell raised her to pick such an ass of a husband? Well, her mother, like I said, is the Caymanian connection. She was not born in the Cayman Islands. Her mother is Caymanian, but I'm sorry. This is one of those things I think about my aunt a lot of times. And the things that she would say in a situation like this. And this is one of those things where, you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. So you come to the Cayman Islands and you do not disrupt people's lives in such a way. Caymanians are different in how they operate, although times are changing. We were once relatively law-abiding people who believed in respecting our elders, and we believed in respecting the law. That has changed so much because of some recent Caymanians, a lot of it, coming in and feeling like they can do whatever they want, right? And, you would have to teach your children that, listen, you want to move back to the Cayman Islands and you want to get status off of me as your mother? Well, let me make some suggestions to you about how people live there. Now, I don't know, maybe her mom has had this talk with her and she just doesn't care. Because again, the driving force behind all of this is this narcissistic husband. And, a lot of times there is one person in a relationship in a household who really is running the household, and other people are being subjected to their wishes regardless of how they truly feel about it. And I suspect that that's exactly what's happening here. So Johan says, why are the clearly established prescriptive rights of the users of this access point and road, including the Adams family for over 40 years of public use, now being ignored by the Registrar of Lands, the RCIPS, the DPP, and every other agency that's involved in enforcing relevant laws? Well, that's the question, really, right? regardless of him challenging the latest decision, that prescriptive right, which has been codified because the Adams family went to the expense of having the land registry applying and having them actually acknowledging that road. So it's no longer just a prescriptive right. It is registered. And nobody can enforce that. It does not make any sense. But it does appear that Mendoza has discovered a loophole in the law when it comes to enforcement. And that's why he continues to do this. The same way that the police could apprehend and confiscate his vehicle the last time he blocked this, every time he tries to obstruct that right of way, they need to be there arresting him. It should not be allowed. Why are they allowing it? You know, somebody needs to ask Mr. Derek Baines that question. Louise says, I went through the same thing many years ago, and the police came and made the man take the blocks down. And then he put up the road because the road was, and then he put up the road, or NRA put up the road because the road was gazetted. Well, it seems like the police in West Bay don't have what it takes to deal with the situation. I don't know. Someone else says, I'm sorry. Good morning, Sandy. Darlene knows everything. Okay. They say, I'm sorry, but Darlene is like Mendoza, as her family can't live around her. Oh, Lord. She put everyone out, her mother's house, and even her mental health brother living in the street. Oh, my gosh. And now begging, and she's taken up for the man because two of them are just alike. I'm just saying. Wow. Okay. What a mess. What a hot mess. Anyway, good morning, Barbara. We'll continue to monitor this situation. It is very, very frustrating, folks, but let us move on. In other crazy news, yesterday morning, we were also talking about another interesting case of Laval, another one that the police handle with kitty gloves. Is it just me, or does the police seem awfully soft with certain people? Funny how none of them are Caymanians. They don't seem soft with Caymanians. I mean, I'm just making an observation here. But Laval went from putting debris in the roadway, which we saw the video footage of that yesterday on the Liffin Pearson Highway, to then going to her spot down by, what's the name of it? Royal Bank in Central Town, and started putting debris there. I don't know how she dragged all this stuff there, but somehow she managed to get there in a hurry too. And then this is what transpired. Have a look at this video. What a hot mess. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong video. We're coming to that one next. Well, my good folks, I don't know if the police heard our call for them to grow a pair, but I suspect twice in one morning was a bit much at two different locations. Now you're in the middle of Georgetown Central, the business district, by the way, blocking traffic. People couldn't even go through that little miniature roundabout, which has never made any sense to me. But anyway, so she was out there again, blocking traffic, and the police went to arrest her. 4 police officers, at least in that video, from what I could see. Shannon says another non-Caymanian breaking the law and another non-Caymanian that has been treated with kitty gloves for quite a minute. Caymanians do sit back and wonder what is going on in this country. I have to tell you the truth. The police are mostly non-Caymanians. And, I don't want to make this, I'm going to talk about race here in a second, because we're going to get to the Cayman prep situation, right? And I don't want to make this any anti-expat sentiment, because you guys know that I try to be as fair as possible. When I first came back to the Cayman Islands, I would hear Caymanians saying stuff to me like, oh, as Caymanians, we treated differently. This is mostly in the workplace. And I was like, I wonder if this is in their head. Sometimes you can have this self-fulfilling prophecy, or self-fulfilling, what do we call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Self-fulfilling prophecy isn't the right word, but you know what I mean, right? So it's confirmation bias. You think something and then you look for everything that confirms your way of thinking. And then I started to work and live in the Cayman Islands, and it didn't take me long to understand that there are two very different worlds that exist here. And even as it relates to the police, a lot of them operate by, we see Caymanians as one way. Now, hear me out here. They're living in the Cayman Islands. They're benefiting off of a good life in the Cayman Islands, a better salary than they would ever make back home. Most of them would never have a need at this point in their history to carry a gun because they're still relatively safe. Some certain situations now are not as safe as they used to be. Not that long ago, we'd have like one murder for the year. Some years we'd go and not even have any murders. This is when I first moved back, right? So they have this very different lifestyle. They work 4 days off. The next 4 days, they're running a side hustle, a side business, making tons of money. They couldn't do this anywhere else in the world. They can come here and build a good life, and nobody's going to begrudge them from that. Good. But then when you start seeing how some of these officers treat and deal with when the complainant is a Caymanian, I have seen it myself. Oh, these Caymanian women, I've heard Jamaican police officers make very disparaging remarks about, yeah, these Caymanian women, there's something else. I'm like, officer, with all due respect, you shouldn't be taking any sides in a situation. If you're called out because of an abusive situation, you shouldn't be saying that the victim is to blame here because these Caymanian women, this is what they do. And she deserved to be licked because they try to control me. I was like, what? I have seen it with my own 2 eyes. Well, now they're 4 eyes. By the time they were 2. There is a difference. And when it comes to the legal arm of government, those things should not exist. There has to be equality before the law. And so when I see the police handling the likes of Loval and Mendoza with kitty gloves, I do understand why the vast majority of Caymanians are going to say, what is going on here? This don't make no sense. I get the point. Somebody commented about, oh, why did they need so many officers to arrest her? I'm like, well, if that's what it took to arrest her, then they use whatever force is necessary. I didn't think that they were necessarily manhandling her. Natasha says, why wasn't she arrested in the first video? Again, because they've been treating her with kitty gloves. Now, I do get it up to a point that they don't want to buy into this, oh, we're mistreating her and she potentially has mental health issues. And this is why she keeps claiming that Dr. Lockhart has tried to kill her because he diagnosed her with a mental health issue. And now that'll give her even more reason to protest and even more public sympathy. RCIPS, rest assured, my dears, that there is very little public sympathy existing for this woman right now. And what we do not wish to happen is for this to escalate into a situation where either she gets hurt by a member of the public who just has had enough, or she hurts someone who's a member of the public, because this woman really goes on a special kind of way, Sometimes you are minding your own business. I want y'all to listen to a voice note that someone put up. Actually, it's quite lengthy, so I'm gonna put it up on Facebook. But this woman is something else, right? She has um she has seen people in, for example, a grocery store minding their own business, and she is going to roll up on you like she's somebody. I'm telling you, this woman is really asking for trouble. And it's only going to take her rolling up on the right person who's going to be like, not today, TD. And they can knock her out. But this is allowed to happen. Everybody is expected to treat her with kitty gloves because, she may have mental health issues, or she might be suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. I don't know which one. At the end of the day, folks, there's only so much that the community should be subjected to. And the point that I wish to make in relation to Lavelle, I know something now clicking quite right in her head, because no sensible person does the things that she does. However, that does not mean that the rest of us should be subjected to her blocking the roadway, destroying our cars potentially, and all of this other stuff. There has to be something or someone that says, okay, enough is enough. Honestly. This cannot continue. Nobody's saying that right now. I mean, finally, she got arrested yesterday. By tomorrow, she's going to be out again. Although I think her lawyer might be on vacation, so she might stay in custody a little bit longer. And here's a joke about it. We, the people, are paying for her legal aid. Oh, the irony of it is just absolutely astonishing. She needs to stop. Here's the solution. She's from Jamaica, and we have, agreements with Jamaica to send people there to both drug rehab facilities and mental health facilities. When I say she's from Jamaica, I mean traveling to Jamaica should be no problem for her because she is a Jamaican national. So they can't refuse her in any sort of, she doesn't need a visa or anything else, right? So there's no travel restrictions in place. Stop treating her with these kitty gloves. If you really believe the woman has a mental health issue, book her an appointment at whatever facilities. We have Caymanians there right now, by the way, and send this woman there. Get her the help that she needs, right? Someone said she needs to be stripped of her status because they have seen other people had their status stripped from them for far less than that. Well, I don't know. What I do know is, in my mind, honestly, none of this makes any sense. It's not logical that she should be in a position to continue doing what she's doing. So Miss Juliette Fagan, I want to play a voice note from her. She sent out this very long voice note yesterday. I'm not going to play the full thing because I do want to talk about the situation at the prep school. But, she addressed it and she said what all of us are saying, that this really just needs to stop. Right? Enough is enough. The people are sick of it. I can imagine the authorities, despite their apparent level of not being able to handle this situation, they themselves must equally be sick of this as well. I cannot imagine that, they enjoy being ridiculed for not being able to handle the situation. And everybody is getting flack for this. Let me assure you. Right? So every individual who, whether they're a politician, a member of the RCIPS, they've had to deal with, what's wrong with you guys? Why are you not able to handle Lavelle? I'm not saying it's not a valid question. What I'm saying is, they're saying, listen, our hands are tied. We can't do anything about this woman. So then who can do something about her? That's all I need to know. Who's the right person to do to put her in an institution, force her to get help? But of course we know that's not going to last. Strip her of her status is not going too far? I don't think so. People have been stripped of their statuses for far less. It's just too much. Natasha says Caymanians have been complaining for years about the difference in treatment of them versus expats by the RCIPS. And what I'm saying is the RCIPS needs to pay attention. There's some merit to that argument. Good morning, Mr. Tommy. How are you? And, when you have officers like community officers and stuff like that, they need to understand that this just isn't a perception, that this is the reality for a lot of Caymanians, that there's like two different ways in which enforcement happens. And it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be allowed. Good morning to Miss Nona. Says orders should come from the commissioner and be carried out by the police officers. That's a chain of command. Well, I don't know. Morning, Miss Brenda. We've not seen you in a minute. How have you been? She says, good morning, Sandra. The British and other wannabes do the same thing to Caymanians. Mark, Caymanians is not. And here's the thing, right? The common thread here is Caymanians are feeling, Mark says, we're the Aborigines of the Cayman Islands, right? So you have Caymanians who are actually feeling disenfranchised. We're feeling like we're on the outskirts. And I'm not here to fuel any flames that don't exist. What I'm telling you is you need to recognize this for what it is. So let's talk about prep school. Let me, first of all, I'm going to have you listen to just a brief snippet of this one from Miss Juliet Fagan. And then I want us to start talking about prep school, because unfortunately all of this has a common thread that will be evident here in a second. So here's what Miss Juliet said. It's a very long video, so I won't play even half of it, but have a listen to some of her comments.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, my beautiful peeps of the Cayman Islands. Honestly, I'm here in Jamaica at this time, and I am so disappointed in what I am seeing that is all over the world and social media with, Lavelle. And I'm not saying that to degrade her at all. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that to degrade her. I'm also speaking from, let's put it this way from a nursing standpoint, medical standpoint. I'm wondering, why is it that she can't be, apprehended and sedated for a while and see if she can get some help? We also know, those of us that are Christians, we also know that the manifestation of demons and demonic activities also being, at play here. But my thing is this, and I pray that this may reach the politicians, everybody from top to bottom. Yeah, circulate it, get it out. My thing is this, had that been a Caymanian, I'm talking about a native-born Caymanian, born and bred, raised up Caymanian, it would have gone down different, and I am speaking from experience. So before some of you jump off, I've seen so many things. First, I was in the force. You know, I was a police officer. Then I went into nursing at the Georgetown Hospital, worked there for many, many years. And trust me, I have seen some things. Nothing compared to what Lavelle is out there doing in front of the government offices, in front of the government house, in front of the various icon centers, in places, and all of that kind of thing. And all it's like a joke thing. The police officers are joking with her. Government is joking with her. Everybody's just joking with her. Is this what we gone to? Is this what we gone to? How does that look now to know that the country is opening back up and the island is opening back up? You know, I saw a video earlier where she was blocking the roads, and it just brought me to what I see happening here in Jamaica a lot of times. People put trees and old car tires and all kind of things in the road and starting fire in the road. Is this what you're going to sit down in Grand Cayman and make it come to? Is this what I'm playing around with now? You see, once one person start doing this kind of thing and they can get away with it, you watch and see what gonna happen soon. Pretty soon, watch and see what Cayman gonna go to the roads, gonna be filled, all messed up and all stuff because of all the derelict and all the stuff that gonna be pulled out. I've never seen this in all my years as a Caymanian. I've never seen this kind of thing done before. And I want to say to those of you that, whether you're Caymanian by status or whatever, the truth is the truth. So don't take anything personal. This has nothing to do with her per se. I'm just talking about this whole behavior. I'm just talking about this lady is suffering from some sort of mental health. She needs help. And it seems as if nobody's helping her. They're arresting her, and a couple hours after that, they're letting her out. They're setting her free. You know, is she getting paid to do this kind of thing or something like that? Why is it that she's always doing this? You know why she's doing it? It's because she know that the bunch of you don't take her serious. She know you don't take her serious. What would help Lavelle right now if you arrest her and don't give her no bail? Don't give her no bail for a week or two. You know, get her some medication. Get her to take her medication if that's what she needs to take. I'm not sure what's going on with her. You know, get somebody to pray with her, encourage her. You know, so when she's cursing out pastor, she's cursing out everybody. You understand? So she gave me a big piece of cursing one day I saw her in Foster, and I didn't say a word to her, because I just know her behavior. I saw her in Foster, and the moment she saw me, she started cursing this and cursing that and going on. I ignored her because I know that when she was talking at that time, it has nothing to do with her right mental capacity, and also demonic activity was at work with her. Demon manifestation was coming out of her. But it looks bad. I'm here in Jamaica, and these things on social media is just all over the place. And I'm telling you, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to see that the same things that is happening here in Jamaica now is now hit Cayman. They clear the road, they put it back out. They clear the road, they put it back out. Come on, is that now where we are? You talk to her or have her, so you let her go. She gone in. If she has the ability to drive, if she has the sense to drive, and if she has the sense to say it is too tight and the handcuff too tight, and she has the sense to argue with you, there is some motive behind all of this. And I don't believe I don't believe there will be any change. It is very, very disrespectful, and I'm real upset about it. And I'm not so much about her. I'm upset with those in authority that don't know what to do with people like this. That's what I'm upset about. So you can take this and you can send it to where you want to send it. Right now, as far as I can see, they need to sedate her, have a nurse or somebody get her on Cayman Airways and bring her to Jamaica and let her go to Bellevue. Make her go to send her to Bellevue. You understand? Come on. I know we have mentally challenged people in the Cayman Islands. And I don't see them out there doing that kind of thing. I don't see them doing that kind of thing. That it is very disrespectful to our flag. It is very disrespectful to our iconic, buildings and what we stand for. I'm very disappointed. And so somebody need to stand up and take actions with this. It is not looking good. We are now becoming the mockery of the world. It does not look good. When I see her flinging all this derelict, dragging it off, or she must have went and pile them up or however they got there, and blocking traffic. Come on. And if that was somebody else, no, you would have have them on the news and police arresting them and charging them this big money and all kind of thing. Come on. I pray that this reach the authorities, from top to bottom, all over. Come on, Mr. Wayne Patton. Come on, Mr. Chris Sanders and all of you others. Mr. Franz Manderson and the governor, everybody, and with the tourism and Kenneth and everybody. Come on, those of you that are in charge, the ladies and all. Come on, man. Asking Sabrina, who is in charge, with the mental health, who is also a nurse. Come on, man. Take charge, man. And Nurse Hazel Brown. Come on, man. You can't have this going on. This is a serious issue. And when
Okay, folks, let me stop it there. Like I said, there's more to it. I'll post it up on social media so you guys can take your time and go through it. But she is begging somebody to please take charge. She said, I'm not even blaming Lovell. I'm blaming the authorities for their lack of action. Can somebody take charge of this situation and do something about it? Jared is joining us this morning with some commentary. Good morning, Jared. Look like you got a fresh cut, a fresh style, fresh braids.
Yes, us Caribbean people always gotta be fresh, man.
Yes.
Boy, I tell you something. I don't know. I tell you, I don't know what comedy series we in today, but it'll hit serious. All I know. I think. Well, it's not a matter what I think. Why hasn't anything been done? Things have been done. We've tried to put her through the court system. She has a very good, I think, Caymanian lawyer, a good lawyer, who knows the law.
She's English, but that's okay.
Okay, a good English woman.
That doesn't matter too much.
It is frustrating. I hope they have remanded her. I hope they have Section 9'd her or Section 13 or whichever section they use to really look at the situation, because as the lady said in the voice note, something is wrong. And why are the politicians sitting down on their hands acting as if they don't know what to do? But you know why? Because everybody been busy with COVID. Not saying that COVID hasn't been a priority, but everything else has taken a back burner. Like, I know each minister tries to handle their area, but the mental health facility, what going on? We're not hearing an update, but we got energy for build new revitalized road when no tourists now, yeah. And then you got Lavelle dancing up and down in front of RBC and block. It's very frustrating. Something need to be done. And you see, election coming. So my brain very good. So I will remind all those people, track record time. Honorable Sabrina Turner, what did you do? Kenneth, what did you do? Because Kenneth in charge of transportation, So that road there, whatever, were broken up and whatever. He had best no say. That is his.
Someone on WhatsApp says it has nothing to do with COVID.
What do you mean it got nothing to do with COVID? Okay.
In terms of why they're not dealing with her, they said not related.
No, that is not true. The Honorable Minister of Health and the Honorable Premier, they've been on whatever they call with OC on, for the record, talking about get your booster. Okay, that's one thing. But
could the issue really be here that the political arm they're very limited in terms of what they can do, but it is, the mental health professionals, it is the police that should be doing this. And for them to interfere, and there might be some people who might argue that when politicians start interfering in something like this, then we got a problem. In my mind, the one thing that they can do that would be very beneficial to everyone is simply revoke her status.
Okay, that kind of...
Do that. I mean, let's just cut to the chase this morning, okay?
But
don't beat around the bush. I don't care about COVID or anything else. The one thing that is in their power to do is revoke her status. They can do that.
Well, I guess if you put up a poll,
arguments and
see
she's
what
going to sue
happens.
them and blah, blah, blah.
But you
But
know the
she's
thing
like
is,
public nuisance number one.
I think it has to. I don't know what it has to do it, but
I
you
think
see,
we got a caller. I don't know if they're trying to join the show yet.
let
By
them
the way,
come to
folks, I
call on.
have her new SIM card, but I'm trying to get a phone to put it in so that you guys can start calling into the show. But in a couple weeks, we're going to be on air, live, and so that number should go live at that point as well. All right, Jared. So you wanted to speak on Lavelle. Anything else before we move on to preps? I need to end the show in time today because I got to go to court.
We need to be mindful of people in our community who have behavioral health issues and be patient with, understandably patient to a point, but we have systems in place to deal with them. Behavioral health unit, what's going on? Don't wait till the police to come and say, oh, we got doctor who, whatever, psychiatrist or nurse, oh, we got. Come on, the whole point of having these agencies is to mitigate these issues before they happen. And the Ministry of Health, they are public something number one. What's going on? What's going on? Come on, let's go. Come on.
Well, we do have a caller who wants to join in the conversation. Now, Winnie says, correct you, ma'am. She hitched ride every time she doesn't drive herself. Then the Cayman government would have to be questioning. But she does drive, Winnie. I know people's cars that she's borrowed and she's drive. Morning.
I was just calling to say something about with Lavelle because something can be done with Lavelle because look at my neighbor Paul. I don't know if you remember him when he used to walk the roads in town. He may have exposed himself 1-2 times, and look what they did with Paul. Send him to Jamaica.
He was a little chubby one that used to sit out by the courthouse.
Yes, by the courthouse. And they sent him Jamaica, so why they can't do the same thing with Lavelle? So something needs to be done.
Yeah, and in fact, the thing with Paul
wasn't a bother to anyone.
Yeah, he was not there blocking roads and all kinds of stuff like that. And you know what was interesting about Paul? Paul never even had a passport, so they had to go as far as getting him a passport.
Exactly.
So
yeah, this taking up too much time.
What a mess.
Then
all right, my dear. Anything else you wanted to say on the matter?
No, they just need to deal with Lavelle.
Yeah, they need to deal with her. If we don't have the resources, if we do not have the resources to deal with Lavelle Island, send her to Jamaica. And I know the Jamaicans then probably tired of us. But come on, let's go. This is I would say annoying, but I understand this is something that is very technical, difficult, human rights, lawyer. But I had bet that same lady that Maggie had better came on that they send them to UK whenever they get trouble in prison. That they find any alternative to put a Caymanian in a situation.
I wonder if she's been naturalized. Maybe the UK will take her. I'm just saying.
We get
such few benefits from them that maybe this is one of those benefits where they can help us.
Well, the deputy governor need to step up, and why we not find job for her? If we need to put her,
we must find jobs for her.
Me put her in front of tourism. If she's going to be all in that road there,
come on, Jared. Now you know you're losing me. We must put the likes of that to deal with tourists.
But
what kind of entertainment you think tourists are coming here for? It's certainly not that. All right, Jared, I want to talk about the prep school situation briefly, with the intent of doing a full expose on it, but we're going to talk about it briefly. But thank you for giving your 2 cents on the Lavelle situation. Nona says she misses you, by the way.
I'll be back soon, but I'm not supposed to be back, so I'll be back later.
All right, Jared, thank you very much. Sure, Rainbow says, big up my friend. Send her to the UK, says Moya. Maybe that's a possibility, but I don't know if she has papers like we can easily send her. She has Caymanian status. I'm guessing she probably has a Cayman passport, so it probably can't be that hard to send her to the UK. Maybe the farther away she goes, the better. Nona says, you're right, Sandy. Her status needs to be revoked. Mental health facilities near completion, says Moya. You may not hear anything about it. But again, if the authorities feel like they don't have the power to put her in the mental health facility, how much good is that going to be? That's going to just be a building that's going to be sitting there, staffed, and nobody is going to be prepared to put down their foot. This is a situation of where somebody needs to grow a pair. I hear Chris Saunders speaking often of testicular fortitude. That's a nice way of saying get some balls. And in this case, somebody needs some balls to just deal with this situation. It may not be the popular decision, but it's going to be a decision that will, reap some sort of results. So Ms. Brenda says, if she has a mental issue, then she's a ward of the state. Put her on the mental ward, and that's what they do to Caymanians. So yeah, I mean, Section 13 her, make it compulsory. Why are they not doing that? To me, she's making a mockery of everybody in this country at this point. Aliana says, give who a job? Not Lavelle for to what? In other words, what are you going to have her do? Jared told me she could work with tourists. Lord have mercy, Jared. Now that comment was completely off the rails. So listen, folks, let's talk about Cayman Prep for a minute. Now, this is a conversation that is much deeper than the remaining 15 minutes that we have. This conversation is going to take a minute, let me assure you. And what has to happen is that we need to talk about racism in this country and in schools overall, because this is a problem, right? A couple months ago, there was a situation with a young lady who it was reported, another student, and I understand that the school went to great lengths to track down the student who took the video of this child, because they took a video of her. What turns out, she was in some kind of makeup from a play or something, and they said that this was blackface and whatever. Turns out that wasn't actually what the child was doing. A lot of people got upset. I understand the child's parents are lawyers, and of course they were making a lot of phone calls, and I want to say this. When we put it up, we honestly thought that the child was in blackface as well as part of a Halloween, because it happened around Halloween. Turns out there was a play that day. Like, there was a number of events that led up to the image certainly being seen as one thing when it really wasn't. And no one wants their child to be subjected to being accused of something like being in blackface when that isn't what it was. So we profusely apologize to that young lady and her family for putting that up and saying that had anything to do with racism. But at the time, I took the opportunity, because of what I know have been years worth of complaints about Cayman Prep in particular. And I have no reason to lie on this school. I think that they have an excellent academic program. I've told you guys my daughter's on the waiting list, although I know she'll never get accepted. They don't even bother to call you and say she moved up the list down. As a matter of fact, the last time I checked, she moved further down the list. So that will be what it is, right? So I don't have any real hopes of her being able to ever get into that school as a Caymanian child. Accept it for what it is. This is the reality of what you're dealing with, right? But what I would say is, I'm not trying to pick on this school. I have heard these complaints for a minute, even before CMR existed. And it's always Cayman Prep, Cayman Prep, Cayman Prep. I don't hear too much about Catholic. 1 or 2 complaints about Catholic. 1 or 2 complaints about CIS. But Cayman Prep, if I was to take in audio, what do they call it, where you have this like reverb noise, this is a constant noise, it would be Cayman Prep. So at the time that this thing happened in October, we did an entire show where I sat here saying to the administrators of Cayman Prep, consider this. The mere fact that you have a child, another child at your school, who would have taken a video of this poor innocent little child and said, look, another racist day at Cayman Prep, means you have some issues you need to be addressing at your school. They didn't want to focus on that. They're like, this person was wrong. The child wasn't in blackface, which they were correct. We're going to find out who this was. We're going to ban all your cell phones. You missed an opportunity to have a very important conversation. This is what I said back in October, that your school needs to have on racism, classism, colorism, nationalityism. I don't even know if that's a thing. But there are people at your school who constantly say that they are treated differently because of the color of their skin. They're treated differently because they're Caymanian colored child even. So we put up the story that they were going to be having a workshop yesterday morning. I don't even know how the workshop went. I'm going to try and see if I can reach out to some people. For the year 8 students, I want to make a few observations, right? First of all, you need to not just have a workshop. You need to have a change of mindset. There has to be a cultural shift at your school. And I dare say that whoever you had guide the workshop, I don't know who this is. I guess they went online and looked up how to address racism at your private school or whatever. And they did a little workshop. Let's be nice to each other. Let's not call people the N-word. Let's not call people this. And that was the extent of the workshop. I'm just saying that is not enough. In order for you to have a cultural shift, I mean the corporate culture within your organization, your school culture, there's a number of things you need to do. Number one, you need to have a more diverse environment. How do we do that? Well, first of all, let me go on record. And I was speaking to a lawyer yesterday about this. And I agree with him when he says part of the problem is that the white expats see the school as theirs because they have a dominant number there. In other words, there needs to be more diversity in your school. This should be across the board. This should also apply to government schools. This idea of government schools only being available to Caymanians needs to be done away with. Whose idea was this? Because this has created, in part, the situation that we have now, where private schools are different and separated, and government schools are 99% Caymanian children, mostly of color. And then the private school is the opposite, 99% foreign kids, a few fair-skinned Caymanians who believe that they can pass for white, and 1 or 2 colored kids. Go look at the pictures of all of these schools and you see exactly what I'm talking about. There is no level of diversity in our schools, and that needs to stop. I blame the government, whoever implemented this stupid policy. And I understood that it was one, we don't have space. And I like the solution that this individual also suggested. They said, right, government claimed that they don't have space, whatever. It's not low-key segregation. It is straight out segregation. And it should be stopped. We need more of an integrative society at all levels, and we start with our schools. Desegregate all schools in the Cayman Islands. One suggestion to alleviate the cost and whatever is, okay, if you let an expat child into a government school, you don't necessarily charge them $2,000 a month, but maybe you charge them a nominal fee of $2,000 a year. Let me tell y'all something. As someone who has lived in another man's country and who has had to get very, very used to the concept of diversification very, very quickly, right? I had to be around all sorts of different people. And there's a lot of things culturally that I did not understand in the context of the American culture. And we all know that they have a lot of issues when it comes to segregation and racism that have been longstanding. But you're thrown into a situation where you have to get along with everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, who you are. Kids do not learn hate. I'm sorry, they do learn hate. They don't innately know hate. They don't judge people by their color of their skin until they hear their parents saying little things. My 4-year-old child, she's now 5 years old, but at the age of 4, she could communicate to me that her skin color seems to have been a problem. Why am I brown and not white? And I'm like, well, your parents are brown, so why would you be white? Why are you asking me this? Because she's hearing other people already at the age of 4. Other kids at the age of 4 saying to her, white is better. It's better to be fair skin. It's better to be white. And we live in a community, folks, where every shade of the rainbow is represented here. And we judge people and separate people based on that. So there are kids who are a little bit darker than her. They have curlier, stringier hair, whatever you want to call it. K-Man's going to tell you straight up, you got nappy hair. So what? I have nappy hair, and your point would be? They're like, oh, Gigi, your hair is so beautiful. I wish I had long hair like you. Why? You're a black child. So is she. She's just a little bit different of a shade, but be happy with who you are. We need to teach a lot of self-love and appreciation for the entire rainbow, the entire spectrum of what people represent. And that isn't happening. It's not happening in our homes. It's not happening in the schools. And it's certainly not happening at Cayman Prep. But we can't address the Cayman Prep situation without being honest with ourselves. And we all have prejudices, right? There's some of you who have grown up in families and you might be one shade darker than your sibling, and you know your mom and dad had treated that sibling better than you. And there was no other reason for it except they came out one little shade lighter. Or they came out with colored eyes, so all of a sudden they're somebody special. Or they got straight hair. These are the real conversations, and it's not going to be a one-show situation that we need to be having in this community. And so, Cayman Prep, I'm sorry to tell you, a one-off workshop, not going to do it. These are the concrete solutions. You start with better integration at all schools. You teach people to understand and accept diversity. And that has to be across the board. People are different. Not just because of their skin color, their hair texture, their intellectual levels, right? Sometimes they're gay and homosexual, even as children, you can tell. Accept people for who they are. Stop hating people because you perceive them as one thing. Oh, I'm going to hate you because you're Caymanian. I'm going to hate you because you're from West Bay. I'm going to hate you because you're from Logwoods. This is one of the problems why we have gang issues in this country. As stupid as it is, you can have a community as small as Windsor Park separated by one little park, and people on this side of the park don't like the people on the next side of the park. What? These are the real conversations we need to have in this country. Break down these walls, break down these barriers, and stop the nonsense. From kindergarten, they should be learning about acceptance, who people are. They should learn about the Cayman culture too, because enough of them aren't teaching Cayman culture in these so-called Caymanian schools. Not only do they need diversity in the student body, we need diversity in the teachers and the school administrators. People like to see people like them in positions, teachers, nurses, doctors. How many of you can say that? And again, I don't even know anything about Cayman Prep, so I'm going to ask you an honest question. How many of your children have any teachers that are Caymanian or that look like them, or that when they use a little Caymanian slang, like, yeah, bo, whatever, that they actually know what they're talking about? I'm just asking a very real question here. How much of that is represented at Cayman Prep? So they need greater diversity in the administrators and teachers as well. Y'all want to have a real conversation about race in the Cayman Islands? When you have teachers telling your students, your Caymanian students, oh, you can't speak with a Caymanian accent because that makes you less than intelligent. You need to sound English, or you need to sound, English meaning British. You need to sound American. You need to sound this, you need to sound that. The same way I could say on yesterday morning's show that I cannot tolerate someone picking on Dr. Newton because she has an accent, I also cannot tolerate anybody trying to pick on a Caymanian child because they have a Caymanian accent. It's the same principle to me. It's not acceptable. If Cayman Prep is really trying to make a difference, they talk about their what did their emails say again? Let me just pull it up here. That they are all about inclusion and they're not going to tolerate this and that. No, honey child. The only reason why you're saying that now is because you've been called out, right? Let me just see the email that they would have sent out to parents about this workshop. And they also, at some level, don't want to take any responsibility. Dear parents, guardians of high school students. Okay? We work hard to ensure that all students in our care feel safe and valued. Not really. It's imperative that we work together as a community, talking with our children and to each other to forge real connections based on trust and respect. That I will agree with as a statement. With a view to making our community stronger. Yes, all sounds good on paper. We want our children to feel that they're heard and deeply listened to, and that their feelings and thoughts are valuable, and that their experiences are acknowledged. Okay, let me stop you right there, K-Man Prep. Because we know that despite putting that on paper, because that sounds wonderful on paper, that you guys have actually not been doing that. Because when students have been emailing you with concerns, telling you how other students are calling them the N-word, and this has led to fights, right? You wouldn't even respond to the children's emails. But yet you want to talk about, you want to have a real conversation? Well, if you want to have a real conversation, then we must start with telling the truth. We have to be honest. Your response to the situation of race relations, colorism, and classism, and Caymanianism or anti-Caymanian sentiments at your school has been less than desirable. Your response has been lacking. Concerns have been raised about unacceptable language in year 8. Is that it? Who are you trying to kid? Only year 8? You need to go all the way to pre-K. You've had more than one complaint. This has been ongoing for a very long time. Again, bring a level of honesty to the discussion. Working to develop everyone's understanding of the nature and impact of racism, zero tolerance. Then why are children being treated separately for such bad behavior? Somebody can call somebody the N-word and they're going to get lunchtime detention. But yet when your Caymanian children infract any of your rules, they get a very different kind of punishment. Cayman Prep, I beg you, with all due respect, to read what one of your eloquent parents had to say. This is when the Caymans group was around and they had to change their name to something else. Can't remember what they changed it to now. The real women of Cayman had to change their name because all the Caymanians in these groups are like, what makes you the real woman of Cayman? What do y'all even mean by that? Because that group is 90% expat. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of people join that group because they want to make connections. They're forging connections, moving to the Cayman Islands, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, a lot of times the Caymanians in that group are sitting there shaking their head like, people post stuff and they don't even understand how it comes across, the things that they say. This was back in 2020, some 2 years ago, that this parent who was talking about the racial tensions in the US when they were writing all over the US and all over the world, Cayman was in protest and none of that, because we are still living in mental slavery, folks. We still don't get it. This is an issue y'all are afraid of and you're not willing to protest about. You don't want to talk about the inequalities at work, in your workplace, and all these. I mean, it just is absolutely ridiculous. But this mother had a lot to say. Hear what she says. We have to be careful of what we are designing our country to be. We also cannot allow ourselves to be pushed out of areas where we want to be in our own country. My sons go to Cayman Prep, and we thought long and hard before we made that decision. I still think about it every day. and they may yet be moved, because I am proud of what we look like, and I want them to be surrounded by that. It is undoubtedly one of the best schools on the island. This is academically speaking. But as all of my Caymanian friends pointed out when I was debating it, it is a white school. Cayman Prep, you need to change it. I know many Caymanians choose not to send their children there for that same reason. They're not wrong. The racial diversity is lacking at Cayman Prep. My children are in the minority at their school and in our country, in our own country. We are the minority in our South Sound neighborhood that we just moved into in our own country. CIS just posted a picture of their graduating class, and once again, the lack of diversity is clear. When I choose to apply for a job, I and many other Caymanians have to hesitate because we know it's probably earmarked for the boss's friends from back home. Why don't you have a Caymanian friend here who would be perfect for the job? Because they don't have any Caymanian friends, or very few. I mean, y'all need to read this because this is very, very deep. And you know what was so interesting about this? Is this parent, after she put this up, and these are parents who feel like they have a lot to lose because they will be ostracized. The school will, make the lives of their children miserable and that sort of thing. A few other parents commented and said, yeah, and you know what? My child been on that waiting list for like 3, 4, 5 years. Can't get into Cayman Prep. But someone who literally just landed last week, all of a sudden has a placement at school. Not even their acceptance policy makes any sense. It seems to prefer certain people. And when they commented about that, all of a sudden they got a phone call. Oh, we forgot to call you to say now your kids can get in. They're at the top of the list. Like right after they made a comment about it. It's like, really? Something is wrong here. The other thing that happened when this story went up on social media is people started commenting that somebody said, shut down the school. We don't have time today to talk about cancel culture, but we're gonna talk about it. Like I said, I just want to address this briefly today because I really want to see some court action today. But this concept of cancel culture solves what exactly is the real question. Nobody's suggesting that Cayman Prep be shut down. That's like, what, a couple thousand kids that would have nowhere to go? That's not the viable solution. We need to get to the root of what the issue is. Having said that, a few people then decided to comment, and someone said to me, some of these Caymanians who are commenting, they say, oh, my black child goes there and it's a perfectly great school and blah, blah, blah. There were other parents who were like, I don't think that they get it because they are Caymanians of privilege because of their name and money. Now, here's a little bit of insight for you in case you do not know this. Money gets you in. No matter how black you are, there's a color of money. Is there money green? I don't even know what color. Our money is the rainbow colored, all kind of weird colors, right? In the US, you say money's green. But the color of money seems to allow other people to see you through a very different tint, up to a point. And you need to be very realistic about it. So yes, your privilege, because that's what it is, of being rich, being born into a certain name on the island, will get you certain preferences. And it will even allow people up to a point to look past the fact that your child is a Caymanian and that they're black. So when you comment on a story like the Cayman Prep story, you do know that other Caymanians are like, you don't really understand, do you? You don't get it. And that is a position that one, if you were being completely objective, would have to appreciate. Someone said to me that there's one parent commenting who, they're like, she has a special parking spot at the school. When she drives up, the security guard removes a cone for her to be able to park. I'm like, what? I've never heard of such a thing before. So she's always guaranteed parking when she drops off her Black Caymanian children. I said, wow, now that is a special kind of privilege I've never seen. So when you comment about the situation in defense of the school, yes, it's a fantastic school. But do you really think that if you were not who you are, that your children would be treated any differently? Now I say up to a point, and I'm going to demonstrate to you where it can only go so far, because one of these days somebody's going to roll up on your child and don't realize, oh, their last name is so and so, and their mommy and daddy is a lawyer and an accountant, and they have all this money and whatever. You're going to have some ignorant, prejudicial child who's still going to roll up on your child and be like, oh, you're black and ugly. Just like they did to John Seymour's daughter. She was going to a private school here in the Cayman Islands. And the little kids at that school would make fun of her. Let me tell you what they were doing. They'd take a pen. Hold on here now. Let me demonstrate. They would take a black marker. I don't even think I have a black marker. Oh, yes. I have a black marker. They would take a black marker, mark their skin, and say, oh, if we marked your skin, could you see that on your skin because you're so black? This is what children are being subjected to. Talking about how black they are, how dark they are. He was the Minister of Health when this happened. So if you think your money and your privilege and your status in life will protect your children, if you do not address the underlying issues of race and division in this community and specific to your schools, one day your children will not have that protection. Somebody's going to do that to them. And that is going to impact your children psychologically. We're so concerned about the mental health of our children. This is one area that we need to have an honest discussion about if we hope to address mental health issues and concerns. We can't continue to sweep it under the rug and to ignore it. It has to stop. That child, as a result of that, no longer attends that school. She requested of her parents to send her overseas. Went all the way in Canada. I'm not sure how that's working out in terms of race relations, but whatever. She was just like, get me out of here. This place is so close-minded. Yes, there has to be a certain amount of resilience that your children have to be taught. Because there will be people all over the world who's going to say stuff to them. You know, race relations in the US has taken a step backwards 50 years when they elected President Trump. And I don't care who likes President Trump for whatever other policies he may have. He has stoked the flames of racism at all levels. People have not been more comfortable in American history of calling people the N-word and far worse based on the color of their skin. I don't know if Martin Luther King's dream will ever be realized of being judged by your character. Someone says that we worry too much about the sound instead of the words, and we worry about the style instead of the substance. Another parent says Cayman Prep belongs to a church, ? It should be setting examples for love and not hate. And what are they teaching children? That black is low class and white is what is ruling these islands. But what is happening is what is taught to the children, white against black. So sad, but true. I don't know how much the church has anything to do with it. I think the only benefit is you get a little discount if you go to the church. Another person says, God forbid that one of the white Caymanians did a DNA test and found out that they got a little bit of black blood in them. I don't know what they would do. Well, this whole concept of Caymanians, like true Caymanians, being white is a bit of an anomaly anyway, but I'm not going to quite dig that deep today. Elderly Caymanian says, lovely show today. Can we start hearing why our MPs are so uncommunicable? That'd be a whole other show. Low key segregation. I hope you know, say government gives private schools money. Oh, they're giving them money to be prejudicial towards us. Lord have mercy. Private schools need to have a quota. Now we might be getting somewhere, especially since government is giving them money. Government should actually force them to have certain standards as well.
Yes, Miss Sunday. I had to chime in because this is a very important topic. I wouldn't say sad. It's very frustrating that we are in 2022, and unfortunately, this is what is happening. I do know that Cayman is diverse. We have over 130 nationalities, but is it matriculated across in terms of our private schools? No, it's not. And you know, we have to expect more from these high schools because they are educating locals, whether they came here at a short time or whatever. These people will be in our society and they'll be intermingling with our people at the end of the day. And so if Caymanian history and culture is not being taught, there is a problem. I do know, you know, we just had National Heroes Day, and I think the speaker of the house, that national hero, I think it's either Sybil McLaughlin, I think so, either Sybil McLaughlin or Joyce Hilton. And there was a situation where a governor from the UK came, and there was supposed to be a dance. And you know, at that time, you know, the blacks stayed on one side and the white people stayed on one side. And the governor went up to the then speaker, which was Sybil McLaughlin, and said, "Let's have a dance." And you know, the speaker at the time's response was, "Oh, you know, we don't do that here." And the governor was like, "I've danced with, you know, darker people than you." So I think we need to have this discussion about racism. It is alive and well in Cayman. It just looks a bit differently. It's called colorism, classism, and whatever. Now, the fact of the matter is this should not be tolerated. I do expect the Education Council to be looking into this situation and be looking at how it's going to, I wouldn't say recommend. Mandate would probably be a strong word. I would say suggest how they can bring about that diversity that we as Caymanians like to so-called brand out there, because this is not acceptable at the end of the day. And this isn't anything new. And this happens at the public schools as well. I've had my own experiences with European teachers trying to undermine me at the end of the day, but I've always successfully been able to navigate them because they weren't that, I would say, educated, right? And what I would tell, you know, my local Caymanians is that don't let anybody look down on you. Don't let no foreigner come. And I hate to put it against foreigner against us, which is not the intent, but don't let anybody ever tell you, say, you're not beautiful, black is beautiful. I want every Caymanian to know that whether you're 2 shades light or 2 shades dark, you all are beautiful. And this goes as well for the white people out there too, right? And so people need to understand when you come to Cayman, you need to get in line. Start teaching the Caymanian history and the Caymanian culture. This is why UCCI is having their talks on what is Caymanian culture. The fact of the matter is we have Cayman culture. We need to start teaching Caymanian culture. We need to start talking about Caymanian culture. And we need to start embracing Caymanian culture. Yes, we come from a colonial past and we still live in the colonial power called the UK, and it is difficult, but that is a part of who we are. We all come from diverse groups, and so we have to embrace those difficult parts of us which make us cringe and which makes us uncomfortable, and embrace and say, you know what, this was wrong, this is wrong. If you see somebody bullying somebody in the workplace as well, and it's a Caymanian, you need to say that is not how we do it here. because that is not the Cayman that we pride ourselves on, being Cayman kind or being Cayman. Come on, this isn't really acceptable. And I do expect more from Cayman Prep. Well, to be honest, I don't really expect much from Cayman Prep. But there needs to be some heads rolling at Cayman Prep. I know there's a Caymanian woman heading it up, which is the Honorable Sir Alden McLaughlin's sister. Come on, this not 1956, right? We need to get with the times, and we need to have something done, and we want a response. Talk is cheap, action is where it's at, and I am not going to put my foot up until I see some movement on this. I'm going to be contacting the Minister of Education, because I'm sure the Honorable Minister of Education would not like to be hearing this. And just because you're private don't mean that you can do whatever you want. You have rules to follow. And if they are accepting money from government, which I know they are accepting, because if you look at the budget, it talks about it, we need to start looking at how we can diversify it.
Yes, my dear, we have a number of comments. Let's go through some of the comments. Rainbow, thank you so much. Brenda says that these schools are open to enhance segregation. Caymanians are not welcome there. Well, that's not a good thing. Magdalene says there has to be a cultural shift, a public relations campaign, and not just public relations, but there has to be a level of actually meaning it. Mark said that banning the phones is actually hiding the situation, sweeping it under the carpet. We've got Miss Sue, who says that it's not always the racist color, it's lots of other things at prep too. Well, like I said, I don't know what to call it when you're anti-Caymanian, because I think that that's a large part of it, because unless you come with a certain degree of privilege, the mere fact that you're a Caymanian means that you're not welcome. So what is it called when you're against an entire nationality of people? When you feel like, although, you've been welcomed into this community, that this is somehow your country to run and to treat the natives differently and badly at that. So I don't, that part of it is very unusual for me, because even in the US, the context of, I guess Americans now feel that way. It wasn't really that way when I was growing up. It wasn't like an anti-foreign mentality, but now it's like an anti-Caymanian thing. I'm just trying to compare my experiences in the US, having lived in somebody else's country. Xenophobia, thank you. That's the correct word. So there is a xenophobic situation going on here as well. And I'm telling you, it kind of reminds me, let me give you all a very blunt example of this, right? Let's take, we think of people in Cayman, like who's at the top of the business world or whatever. Let's take a Canova Watson as an example, only because he's now experienced both sides of it. So when he was at the top, he's a Black man. He's originally from Jamaica. He's Caymanian now, been accepted into this community. But when Canova was at the top, making his $25,000 a month, people, the more wealthy persons in the Cayman Islands would have tolerated him. So they're going to invite you to the parties and that sort of thing. If you have children, yes, they allow your children to the school just because you have money. So the privilege of having money gets you into the club, right? When that is stripped away, so when he fell from grace, him and what the next one named there? Jeff Webb. Once that was stripped away, you're not gonna get invited to those parties anymore. Those people are not calling you to say, "Oh, Canova, let's go and play some tennis or a bit of squash or whatever." You don't get the invites anymore, because really and truly, they never wanted you in anyway. It's just that you had a little bit of money. And maybe you were even you're the ones hiring their friends. You weren't even hiring your own Caymanians. So you got a little bit of a pass. But when certain things in life happen, that's when you know whether people truly value you for who you are. Now, mind you, he's fallen from grace with good reason. I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying that once the money is stripped away, you're still that poor little black boy from Jamaica who came to the Cayman Islands, and you're, oh, good lad, you didn't go to Oxford, did you? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, the caliber of your education. Oh, the Cayman Islands Law School. Oh, heaven forbid. Oh, we need all of our attorneys to be from Oxford and Cambridge. And when you really look at where they're coming from, you know me, child, I was there in these law firms shaking my head like, where you say you're from again?
Nowhere. You don't even know where they're from.
Exactly.
You have to Google it. Yep.
You're acting like a micro. I'll tell you a story, right? When you talk about how people come here and all of a sudden
they act like they're
better than people, and as Caymanians would say, their shit don't stink, right? Oh my God! When I first came to Cayman, like I tell you, that whole experience was an eye opener. Going a foreign as a child was an experience, and equally coming back as an adult was an experience. So I would be up in Maples listening to these secretaries talking, and sometimes they'd make little things slip when they're talking amongst themselves, right? So they would be like, "Oh my God, my apartment, oh, I've got a microwave," and I'm like, "Microwave? What's so special about microwave? I've got tile and carpet." I'm like, "Where did you say you were from in the UK again? These things are special?" I'm just like, okay, they never see this kind of money in their life.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that's fine, because everybody comes from wherever and they have different experiences. Where I have an issue is then you come here and after 6 months, you're the cat's meow. Okay, you better than everybody. I've seen lawyers come here who were walking from Maples all the way in South Church Street, all the way then to North Church Street to Kirk Market every day to buy lunch, because they didn't have a car, because they never knew how to drive. Because in London, you know, you take the train or the tram or the ramp or whatever the heck we're calling it. And then all of a sudden, you know, yes, you can now afford, because you're making this big time money courtesy of the Cayman Islands, financial services. You can now go out and purchase your nice Benz or BMW, whatever, and you still can't really drive, but whatever. That's fine. But as Caymanians would say, you still not nobody, you know? Money doesn't make the man. And that's another conversation that is all tied up in this. As the person says, substance. That doesn't make you anyone. But of course, in Cayman, it does. The reality is it does.
Yeah, stardust. They
the
same way.
You get invited to certain events. You get on the invite list. You know, you feel like you're special. And it just is a combination of all of these things that really make for a very interesting existence in the Cayman Islands. It is sad how we have gotten where we are. But the truth of the matter is, Jared and others, this has long been an issue in the Cayman Islands. This is not nothing new, you know. It has been here in the schools, in our homes, historically for a very long time. So when you have families, how much, oh, my Scottish ancestors. Honey, child, you're black, try and hush. Your Scottish ancestors. Why aren't you talking about your African ancestors and claiming them? Equally as proud as the Scottish ancestors. You know them East Enders like talk about, they relate to Scottish people. Oh yeah, my great grandpapa was a Scotsman. And then your great 5 times removed grandmother was straight out of Africa.
Yeah, I was
let's claim that part of your history as well.
I will, you know, because you know sometimes I work at a predominantly white university, largest Christian university in Canada, as fat Miss Sandy. And if I never started a Caribbean club, Miss Sandy, this school has been in existence for 60 years and no Caribbean club. So I had to go and say, listen, we put in a Caribbean club, we had to call it the Afro-Caribbean Club. And Miss Sandy, the amount of pressure, the little avenues that I had to run through, it was very frustrating. But you know, as a Caribbean Islander, I just said, them not stopping me. We need this Caribbean club because we have black people on the campus. They don't know what's going on. So I said, we got to communicate. We got to create community. And so I was looking at myself in the mirror. Yes, And I said, boy, the ancestors never did bad, I'm not gonna lie. They did a little 1-2 thing and they come out too bad. But I think this is a conversation that has been happening repeatedly, and these schools haven't been doing anything. And I would like to see their curriculums. Where is the 50% Caymanian culture? At the very least, I want to see that. And it starts at home, it starts in the schools. And it's not that we try and kick out foreigners, but if you feel that way, you gotta go. Sorry, we don't have enough space for everybody here. If you all do not want to teach Caymanian culture, Caymanian history, Caymanian lawyers, Caymanian doctors, Caymanian heroes, pack your bags and go. I'm sorry, the premier can't say it, the ministers can't say it, but Jared, who is unelected and can say whatever he wants to say, pack your bags and go. If everyone feel threatened, if everyone feel like, oh, we're gonna come and whatever, pack your bags and go. Because we do not want insular, narcissistic, uneducated swines who do not know and understand what Cayman is. Some people come Cayman, get big job, like the former president of UCCI, come take credit. The lady not even did John Crow, but want to take all the good work, right? We need to stop hiring these people to do jobs that they're not qualified. And the basic requirement to understanding the job is knowing the Caymanian history, knowing the Caymanian culture. Because Caymanian people are very unique. We are very beautifully complicated. And it's not an overnight thing to understand us. It's the same thing the prison guy had to leave. You don't understand the Caymanian prisoners. That guy in the prison, director that was once there, he would probably be so surprised that them Caymanians could probably do his job better than him. It's not about the degree of where your education is from. It's what you do with what you have learned. And all them prisoners in there, they're very smart, Miss Sandy. You know, wonder how they always get drugs over there. And I digress, and I'm coming back. But we at the end of the day, we need to stop hiring these people who don't know nothing. It's the same thing we had fire. The guy came, buttered up, took all the money. Oh, overtime. Some of these people come here on vacation and they don't like it when you have local islanders who got a little testicular fortitude and the vernacular that can even outdo them. And you have, let me tell you something, and I will not toot my own horn, but we have Caymanians that can go head to head with any foreigner that come on this island. And
let's read some of the comments.
Bring them around the bush.
Let's read some of the comments, Jared, and then I really must wrap it
I
up.
know you gotta go.
Jerry says, when I attended prep school in the 80s and 90s, black students were called Oreos because we were black but wanted to be white on the inside. That's quite a derogatory term as well. Siobhan says, to be honest, I guess the bigger question for me is why aren't we caught up about our public school education system and trying to improve that? Well, I'm sure we've talked about that before. The private schools are doing well with far less resources and lower paid teachers.
But they don't have to educate.
I wouldn't say far less resources. They're getting private money plus they're subsidized by government. So I don't think they have
to teach.
And then everything you do in private school, you pay for. Every extracurricular activity you pay for. You're paying for your books. You're paying for swimming lessons. You're paying for. So I don't think that part of your comment is accurate at all. She goes on to say, I'm honestly disgusted by some of the crap I heard about coming out of Cayman Prep. As a parent of a private school child, I would love for my child to get the same quality education in public school, but honestly, that's not happening. And that's a conversation that we've had before. And again, these conversations don't disappear. We need to continue to have them. Yes, the bar needs to be raised.
One quick thing. I'm John Gray. I'm a deputy head boy for 2013, 2014. I was educated with the public school system, and I wasn't in set one for all my classes. But John Gray has taught me a lot. I got my little high school diploma. Honestly, I don't know what you're talking about. Private school, public school, not there. We got good rating, so don't do that. Don't do that. I friend John Gray.
The bar can always be higher. Let's put it that way.
Of course.
I mean, there are issues, and a lot of the issues, to be quite frank, that are plaguing government public schools are behavioral issues that interfere with people's ability to learn, because you have these bad seeds and bad apples that make it bad for everyone.
People have.
So Mark shares that racism is not just in schools. Try and go to some of the restaurants in 7 Mile Beach
Mm-hmm.
and observe the way that you're treated from some servers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's why when
I
y'all
was
was vacationing during COVID and keeping them afloat, and now they no longer want your money because tourists are returning. I'm just saying.
yeah, because I
Tracy
was
says both of her parents were teachers. They were besties. Their besties were always Caymanians. My parents were the best teachers. Old school with no Mr. and Mrs. Old schools will know Mr. and Mrs. Western. Okay. Magdalene says, thank you, Sandy. You hit the nail on the head. Privileged Black Caymanians are who their forefathers were. Mark also says the only reason why the hotels dealt with us was because the island was locked down, and try booking the hotels now and see what the price is. Well, I mean, the price has gone up because people are returning, but not just the price. They don't even want you there. So.
And even the lady who were trying to rent a place and then only renting to foreigners. Then don't get me started. That immigration and work need to monitor that one on it. I get so mad with work, you see, man.
We did talk about that, and she wanted to call and curse me out on the phone.
Who the lady that was renting it?
Oh yeah, she was the agent.
Okay, tell her come.
She wouldn't call my phone again if she has any sense.
I said
Mallory says my Caymanian children, generational or light skin, and they have been blamed for slavery by other kids in school. So it goes both ways. Undoubtedly, Mallory, but what I would say to you is that that happens far less than the other way around. But none of it should be tolerated. So when you address racism, you have to have the cultural shift overall.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're only talking to the white children, you're talking to everybody. So Johan says, I refer to them as Cayman aristocracy, I guess, if that's what they want to be called. Johan goes on to say, until Caymanians are prepared to acknowledge that racism plus bigotry plus discrimination plus classism and now overt at all levels of the society, which includes foreign nationals that demonstrate a lack of respect for things Caymanian, who now live here, but we must acknowledge these same characteristics from multi-generational Caymanians as well. And that's my point, really, is that these things exist even within the Caymanian context. So Tracy says she's proud to have Caymanian kids. We don't need to go to Scottish. I do East End. My sister does Georgetown. I'm not quite sure I get that part, but our kids got bullied in New Zealand for not being white, but they held their heritage high. Very good for their kids. And she says she claims her Caymanian kids. Ooh, Tracy, I think you're getting in your feelings a little bit. I don't know who you tell them to shut the F up, but calm down. But you know, these conversations tend to bring out, I think, if we're going to be honest about it, you know, they tend to bring out a lot. You know, there's a lot of people who don't even know that they're prejudiced.
I'm prejudiced too. Miss Sunday.
We all have prejudices at some level. I'm prejudiced because I don't like stupid people.
Me too. I've been like, Lord have mercy.
Listen, when somebody, and when I say stupid, I don't talk about no piece of paper. But when somebody ain't got no common sense and they start talking to me, ooh, it just makes my skin crawl. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus, please help me. Save me from this situation. And I need to learn to be more tolerant for ignorant people.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm sitting there and I come out of my head for a second and I'm just like, talk to myself in third person, but in my head, I'm like, Sandy, just listen to what the person has to say. Truly try to listen to them. Because even someone who you think not saying nothing with sense, for 10 seconds of the conversation might make sense. So again, it's a level of like, you need to teach yourself tolerance, right? So yeah, there's certain people I just don't like. They come walking up to me and I'm just like, here we go. And you can see it all over my face because I just can't hide it. Johan said kids are taught to be racist based on the attitude and behavior of their parents and guardians and of their home environment. And you know what is so interesting is a lot of people are like, oh, no, I'm not racist. I've got a black friend. Or I'm not racist. I've got a white friend.
Oh.
And then you start to say, oh, right. Would you let your black your white child marry a black person? Like they can fall in love with anybody they want, or would you be having that conversation? Like, no, I don't think that should happen.
Miss Sandy, I tell you this right now.
It's when it's that personal that you know if you're truly prejudiced or not. Trust me.
You know, I would dating this Canadian girl. I know the Canadian girl told me that.
Okay. Tell us all about it, Jared.
She said, I don't think you integrate well in the family. I said, sweetie, who said you gonna integrate well in mine? Like,
oh, poor thing. You were gonna be that
She probably
what's the name of that movie? What's the name of that movie where the guy the black guy gets taken home to the family and he thinks he's all special until he finds out that they were actually taking him home to make him into a zombie. What was that movie called again?
I don't even know, you know.
No, man, this was a popular movie a couple years ago. Help me out here. So he went to the town and oh gosh, what was that movie called? He had to like run away from these people because the grandparents are like they're trying to make this.
Get out. Get out.
Yes.
That's the name of the movie. Get out. These people in the song.
You realize that they actually wanted you for a very different reason.
Yeah, and this is the thing that these people
So she tell you that you were not going to be a good fit.
But I was family. Like, listen,
what a mess.
I was like, she must have think I was desperate or something because I don't. It's like it didn't make me look at different cultures differently. It's just like, okay, she wasn't ambitious either way. So
yeah,
I'm a different.
And a lot of times, Jared, to be fair, if people are not exposed to certain things, they just don't know. Like I was married to a white man of German descent. You know, my first husband, David, his people were Germans. His ancestry was Germans. They had blue eyes and, you know, pretty much as white as you can get. And I never felt anything directly, but there was like when his sister first visited the Cayman Islands, her lack of understanding, she hooked up with some bird watching lady in Northside, some American. And all of a sudden she's sitting at my dining room table having a conversation with me about how she was told by this woman that people in Northside and stuff like that live in the bushes, Cayman and live in the bushes and in trees. And I was like, what? Like that was a very uncomfortable moment in my marriage to a white man talking to my white sister-in-law at the dining room table. Because I was like, Cecilia, you are not going to come to my country with such misinformation. I'm your sister-in-law. If somebody tells you something like that, don't you think you would ask me instead of just like taking their word for it? Because I could clue you in and actually what's going on here, Cece. And we had to have a conversation. And I mean, it got uncomfortable for a minute because, you know, even within families, you got to be honest with people.
I love that type of conversation. I said, listen,
I said to her, listen, honey, child, people in Cayman live in better physical structures than most Americans. Okay.
Yeah.
First of the category, one storm not blowing down their houses, but it sure is blowing down yours in Miami and Orlando. Because y'all don't put concrete in your homes even, but yet we're living in the bushes.
And you know something?
This is what your bird watching friend told you? I'm like, what
I have to say this. I have to say this for white people, and I say it from the most gentlest place. There were white people that were enslaved. So just so you all know, all the white people who come in and behaving like say they on the totem pole at the top, there were white people that were enslaved. So don't anybody feel like
yes. I mean, listen.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people have forgotten that the Irish were, you know, they were always at the bottom of the totem pole and always mistreated.
Yeah, and even in America, they used to want the Irish people to do the dirty work. So if they want to go there, we can go there. So we're all on the same footing. But you know, unfortunately, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And we need to get rid of that. This is the same issue why President Roy Biden had this thing and the lady didn't want him talk at the university. Right? So I will be here. I'll be the public ombudsman and I'll be watching. So I know they're not going to like me, but
what a mess, child. I mean, I think that we just need to start the conversation somewhere.
And all it takes is just being caring. It wouldn't hurt to care, to be understandable, be nice. Right? That's the problem. Nobody wants to be nice. Everybody wants to be selfish, and nobody actually wants to care. And that is the problem. We're a community.
Not even nice, just honest. Like, can we just be honest with each other? So this person says racism and xenophobia happens in all schools, Sandy. Just the other day, my daughter picked up her classmate's water from the floor, and this boy, instead of saying thanks, he told my daughter that he didn't want any Hispanic touching his things. I'm curious to know what school that was, but yeah, of course it does. And that's why I'm saying the way to address this is to desegregate all schools, because the more you interact with people from all over the world, different cultures, different skin tones, everything, the less likely you are to see them as so different than you. Now, listen, I, as you guys know, in a former life, had a training business, and we did a lot of soft skills training. And one of the things that we did that I personally taught was diversity in the workplace. And this teacher said that was at Prospect Primary. And one of the key problems, folks, is that as human beings, we tend to look for the differences, right? So you meet someone, and the first thing, you're different than me. You're a different nationality. You're a different skin color. You're a different. As human beings, we have so much more in common than we do that separates us. And I always say, if you look for the common ground, if you look for the commonality, right, you are more likely to see beyond the few things that actually separate you. All of us cut and bleed the same damn blood.
We're all the human race.
Right?
We
We
are
all
part of
have
the human race.
some degree of feeling, some more than others.
Mhm.
Okay? Some of us are mothers. So when I speak to somebody else, the common ground is, oh, you're a mother, I'm a mother. You're a father, somebody else is a father. Okay? Some of us are small business owners. You know, there's so much in the terms of the human context that we can understand. Even Filipinos, a lot of people can't stand, a lot of Caymanians don't like a Filipino. Oh, Filipinos are this and that and da-da-da-da. If you
And they
sit
need to
down and
stop
have
it.
a conversation
Yeah.
with a Filipino person, you'll see that you actually have a lot in common. Yes, different cultures,
Mhm.
but there's certain things that they like and they enjoy that a lot of us like and enjoy too.
Yeah, I tell you a quick story, Miss Sandy. I was on 7 Mile, this yogurt place. It's right beside Eats. And I don't know, this tourist came in, but because it's they viewed the Filipino, I don't know in what way. They had to wear a mask. And she didn't want to wear a mask. And I was in there. And she was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And I just said, listen here. The sign says mask, right? Read. Go outside. And you see, you have people, nobody should be disrespected. I don't care if you're Filipino, Jamaican, Caymanian, whatever. Nobody should be disrespected. And the thing is that had I not stood up for that Filipino, because it is uncomfortable for people to be enforcing the COVID laws when there's different things. If you're not local, if you're a foreigner and you're enforcing something and a tourist comes and, they're going to try to see if they can sidestep. Miss Sandy, had I not been in there, it would just been a constant back and forth because the lady was trying to make an excuse of not wanting to wear the mask. And I had to say, look at the sign. What does it say?
Yep. So, I mean, I think one way in which we begin to address it is definitely to even just start having the conversation around it. So I just feel like we could all do better. Right?
How are we going to change our mindsets? Start there. Because we all need to change our mindsets on how we view things and how we view people. And we need to start looking at, am I racist? Probably. I do have my comments about white people. I do know
Listen,
white people.
There are Caymanians, right? Let me address this because, of course, I know some of my Jamaican brothers and sisters are listening to the program. And this is one that we need to, if we're going to have this conversation and we're going to be honest on all sides of the spectrum, we have to also acknowledge and accept that there are a lot of Caymanians who can't stand a Jamaican just because they're Jamaican and for no other reason.
That's true. And you have Jamaicans.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example within my own family because sometimes I put y'all business out here in the streets and y'all be like, oh, Sandy is putting this person marriage of convenience in the street. Well, I like to be honest. And sometimes you have to look at your own dynamics, your own family dynamics and everything, right? So let's talk about it. I had a grandmother who was a Macfield. Now, the Macfields, you can't get much darker than them in terms of the Black Georgetowners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody
beautiful
can deny
people,
that.
I must say, beautiful people.
Yes. But they also have they can have a level of ignorance. intertwined in the Matfield blood. So when my daddy used to say, yeah, you get that from your mama's side of family, y'all in ignorant bad. Well, I acknowledge that his side of family had some ignorance too. But he would always say that. He would always throw it on the other side of the family, you know. That's what parents do. You never get that bad habit from me, and you better go talk to your mama and dad over that. Them people over there. Them people from the east, they're not no good. That's how Caymanians see the world. And being her complexion, you would have thought that she would have accepted all people of color and been like, you know, love your blackness, whatever. But again, because of our
colonial
heritage.
And
slave history, let's just call it what it was. Man, and some of we didn't have slaves. Y'all are a bunch of liars. Of course, we had slavery right here in this country. In fact, it was one of the more interesting dynamics because it was like a 50-50 split because it was such a small little island, 50% whites and 50% slaves, and you know they were co-mingling and getting it on at all levels, although they didn't want to always admit it. And you know what my grandmother used to tell her children? Here, you know.
Don't marry no black man.
Well, she never quite said it like that, but this is how she put it. Don't marry nobody darker than the palm of your hands. And I'm looking at her going, how can you say such a thing when you're way darker than that, honey Joe?
The problem
is so peculiar. And here's the bizarre thing. She didn't like Jamaicans, you know. But she's married to a Jamaican man. And I was like, and this Jamaican man was hardworking. He wasn't one of them that was lazy, good for nothing. Hardworking, businessman, accomplished all these things in his lifetime to make sure that she's never had to work a day in her life. She must have lived 90 years old, never had to work because of him. But yet she couldn't stand Jamaicans. She hated Jamaicans with a passion. And that was passed on. This is how it's done. That was passed on from one generation to the next.
And we have to embrace this thing, Miss Sandy. We know this.
But listen, when you know better, you do better.
We know that we're saying all the right things, but you know, societally, we all know the lighter your child look, the better they have it. We need to look at that too.
Shireen will say that I'm not going to court. Child, I need to get to court because there's one case in particular I'm looking for. You know, it's on the cause list. But you're right. I probably done missed that here. Although the list was very long today. Oh my God. I was like, geez, I'm not going to be there for hours. But anyway, I do need to go. Johan says in Cayman, George Orwell's book, Animal Farm, seems appropriate or best described how society operates. Maybe we need to put that in our, we keep talk about, you know, our book list that we need to launch, our reading book club. We need to put that at the top of the list. Yes, Tracy, it seems simple, but it's quite not as simple as that. Gabby says, yes, they used to call Central Monkey Town. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and yeah.
And Caymanians, some Caymanians come from families that had slaves.
Exactly.
And there are Caymanians right now. I know this for a fact, that when their children married somebody who was a little bit darker than them, because like I said, everybody's mixed and everybody got black blood somewhere along the line. 1 ounce of Negro blood makes you black. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And when they were trying to marry some fella from, you know, Georgetown, it was darker. The Savannahans, who sometimes get a little bit, you know, country people, they, oh, no, you can't marry him. I mean, I've heard of fathers, Caymanian people who are in high positions, department heads and whatever, get physical with their daughters. Hear me good now, you know, because they were having a child. They dared to get pregnant by a black man and they're getting married to a black man. You know who you are. I'm not going to call your name, but you know who I'm talking about. You wanted to kick the baby out of your own daughter. What are you doing getting married to? What are you doing having a child for a black man? I was like, ooh, what? I'm like, honey,
and that's the problem. That's the problem. Too? You know, this thing goes all the way up to the governor. Yes, I gotta call him out. You know, that is it is a part of a
FYI, you failed. Don Marlon Hills, both of those things Granny warned you about. Yeah, I'm sure she's doing backflips in her grave, my dear child, but I don't have business with her. Oh, there's so much divide, even amongst families. Like, oh God, we've had it in our family, honey child. Oh, you're the bastard child.
Yeah,
so
I've heard about
the other one's better than you because they were born in wedlock. And I'm thinking, going, but where their papa is? My dad, at least he here. I can go find him when he was alive. Their daddy ran back somewhere else. So How are you trying to make me feel like you have to know who you are in life, because even within your own families there are people who will be trying to pull you down based on this ridiculous notion that they have grown up with.
Yeah.
You can imagine my own grandmother telling me that half of who I am, my father not no good. And because I'm a bastard child, my siblings, my half siblings are better than me in her eyes. And honey child, when I moved back from university, y'all know I was my own person by then. And my poor aunt took me to see her, and I said, I gotta tell you the truth. You know, I believe in telling y'all the truth. I had to say to my aunt, I know Tom says she had probably rolled over today. I said to her, don't take me to see this woman again. She's like, oh, you're back in Cayman. Let's go visit family. I've been gone for 15 years and I don't know these people. I'm like, okay, all right, let's go visit family. I said, okay. Granny, remember Sandra? Remember her? Oh, yeah, she for Uric. He not no good. He's this and that. All these bastard children. I was like,
And
oh,
yeah, grandparents be the most racist too when they're ready. Honestly, they don't got no filter.
oh my God, seriously? I said, Sandy, you will go to hell and burn in eternal damnation if you tell this woman what you're really thinking right now.
Boy, I said, Granny.
Because the words were almost and I was like, I just sat there politely and just kept my cool and said, just leave it alone. These are issues that have nothing to do with me as well. You don't have to recognize that family trauma, family issues
as well.
don't have nothing to do with me. So I'm just
and you know, to all those people who want to be white, I hope you know to them white people, they low-key hate themselves because they want to be black
people. Black people are not happy with themselves. This is the thing that I'm telling you. They themselves are part of the problem. They can't even love themselves. So I was just
someone telling me have Cayman culture.
So I had to start crossing people off my list. Yeah. I've had a sibling, just because she's a few shades lighter than me, say to me that if I took a job at Maples and Calder, they're never going to give me a scholarship. They're never going to do this. And because of the color of my skin, and because I'm black. And I'm looking at her going, what? We come from the same parts of our mother. And I didn't say it quite as nicely to her as that, right? How can you be telling me that I'm blacker than you? Okay, you came out 2 shades lighter. But honey child, you still have to keep your hair cut down to keep down the nappiness. I grows mine because, yeah, the nappiness can show. I'm just like, what? Like, it was difficult for me to understand what people were saying to me. Like, honestly, I would be engaged in a conversation and my jaw would be dropping open like, what? What did you just say to me? You think you and I are different because of what? I said, honey child, you black. I don't care what shade you come out. The struggle is real. Let's read a few more comments, then we got to cut it short. Sarah Sue's in the house. Brackers. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let's not get started about them.
Oh, yeah. They're the colorism. They're the next one, boy. You got to love them, man. You got to love them brackers. But they are
special. They don't even want to give black people a cup of ice because then they're going to have to they give it to you in a plastic cup and throw it out.
I had a professor
you
tell
walk
me
on
about
their
that.
white stand, they got to re-sweep it when you leave if you're too black. Sarah Sue says, colorism has been alive and well for a long time, not just the skin color, but heaven forbid you have a big nose and bad hair. Yes. Woo. Moya says, it's so funny the older generation of Caymanians didn't like you if you was too dark, if you was too white. Yeah, it's just stupidity. It's a lot of ignorance. Who's daughter is Graham Rankin? How are you related? I'm confused by that. How are you related to Graham? Sarah, so some of my family would even show their favoritism because I had pretty eyes and straight nose. You see what I'm telling you about? This is
the European look. The Caymanian want the European look.
For them.
The Europeanized Caymanian. I might read a story about that.
Nona says some of the well-known Caymanian men find white British women acceptable to marry. I mean, they can be acceptable for all the right reasons, but it shouldn't be about the color of their skin. Mark says that he experienced that with his wife's family, but 30 years later, I'm still there. Well, you hung around. Some people didn't hang around, boy. Tracy. Damien says they love them black top roads, though. Which black top ruins? I think I'm missing something in that comment. Yes, I know he's her father, but how is Tracy related? I'm confused. He's my daughter's father. So you have a child with Graham? Well, which child? I don't know. I think Graham got a couple children, so I don't really know. All right. So Donna says, oh no, that was not in the eastern part of the BRAC, but in the western part. So the BRAC was divided. That kind of black people probably lived on the eastern side, Miss Donna. I mean, think about it. I mean, I don't know. But you know, them BRACers kind of special still. And up to this day, a lot of them are special. Wee says the black want to be white, bleaching, and the white want to be black. God can't please us. They just sit in the sun. All the kids are coming from the BRAC to get the dark meat. What a mess. Sarah Sue says my grandmother was a white woman married to a black man. That was a big deal back then. My grandfather was a Scot from Watering Place, and they hated black people, even though they were black themselves. They all married fair-skinned women. One observation I make about BRACers, right? When they're going to marry a white person, they don't marry just a regular white person. They go into the depths of like Texas, looking for the most backwards person to try and find.
Redneck. It's like redneck.
They go really deep into the redneckness of America. I've noticed that with the BRACers. I don't know if they think they're more white because of that, or I don't know. Somebody says, hush, talking about West Bears. We only dislike most Jamaicans. This person says, I love being a mutt. Oh, and you're such a cute one too. I'm not going to say who you are. This person says, be careful at Graham got plenty of children around the place. So I don't know. That's what I said. I don't really know. I can't swear on who she got a child to him for, because, you know, I don't know. I'm sure he got more than Sarah Sue. I only know Sarah Sue and then the ones in Honduras, but I think there's more, right? Anyway, child, I can't get into all that. Folks, have a beautiful day. Really, really appreciate the conversation this morning. And like I said, it's, oh, you have a child 8 months younger than Sarah Sue. What a hot mess, but you're not her mother. Okay, all right, I hear you. Well, good luck with that, because we know he was the original Don Juan out of East End. Actually, no, I can't say that about my friend Graham, because some of them East Enders have all 50 children. So never mind. Never mind. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is, folks, but I think we need to have a shift in the conversation, and we need to take it from there. Port Authority just sent out a press release. They're hiring. If you want to be the port director or the deputy director, Joey Hugh, you're hearing it here first. Joey Woods. Oh, geez, I'm always calling this man Joey Hugh. He resigned yesterday, not just from director of the port, which he already resigned from. He has now tendered his resignation completely. The man is leaving the port. So both the director and the deputy director out.
Why?
Something hot going on over there. So, and we're going to talk about it.
Government always got something hot.
Tracy says that her mom is her best friend. Oh, y'all keeping it tight.
No, sir.
Tight in the family. Yes, sir.
They had to sample or something.
8 months younger than you. 8 months younger. So that mean at some point both women are pregnant at the same time? Or did one baby come early? Oh, he sounded like he was busy. He sounded like Nick Cannon, man. He was busy. Jared, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. You have a good one.
Thank you, my love. Folks, have a wonderful day. I'm glad that Cayman Prep has had a workshop. Like I said, this goes way deeper than that, and we can only hope to have more honest discourse. You know, we also need to educate people when they come to the Cayman Islands what this place is all about. So, you know, let's just be honest with each other. If you have misgivings about Caymanians, you don't have any Caymanian friends, you know, start to open up a little bit. Invite a Caymanian into your home. You have a Caymanian coworker, walk up to them and say, you know what? I've been living in the Cayman Islands for a minute now, and I realize that I actually don't have any Caymanian friends or any friends of color. Would you like to go out sometimes? Like, you don't have to put it something like that, but you know, hey, you want to hang out sometimes? What do you do for fun? Because they might be into the bar scene, because there's some cultural differences sometimes. But you know, they might invite you to church. They might invite you to walk on the beach with them. Invite you over for a cup of tea. I don't know. what y'all like to do. Me, I'd invite you for some pickleball. You want to go play some pickleball? Let's go. Some squash, some basketball. I don't know. Reach out to people. Extend the olive branch a little bit. Everybody's in their little corner. And I find that people get so caught up in just being there. Sarah Sue said we need more port jobs on the brat. That sometimes you just need to be willing to come out of your comfort zone. Even as Caymanians, Georgetowners, find yourself a West Bay friend. Let me do a shout out to some of my people. Siobhan, she from West Bay, but she one of them Honduran mix up. But hello, my friend Siobhan. What's up, girl? Who else we got? I'm a Georgetowner, so I won't necessarily shout out any Georgetowners. Let me think who else is there. I got family in East End. Adonia, she's an East Ender. Good morning, Adonia. Good morning to all of the beautiful East End folks. Cayman Brackers, Sarah Sue. Who else in the Brack? Debbie. Who else I know in the Brack now? Oh, Lord, I can't even remember who else in the Brack now. But all you Brackers, good morning to you. What a beautiful day. North Side, morning, North Side. Are we not all one people? Let's reach out to each other. Let's show some love, no matter where you're from. Jamaicans, Filipinos, my Indian friends, everybody. Let's show some love. Natasha says, Mark says we can do a rent a Caymanian friend. We need to have a day of not rent a Caymanian, but you know what I mean? Like be friends with somebody that ordinarily you probably would not even talk to. Natasha says, and Caymanians invite them home, but once they think they arrive, they drop the Caymanians who help them get established and settled. Well, I'm not really inviting people into my house because you people know I don't really like people up in my personal space like that. So if you don't get an invite to my house, don't feel no way about it because that's just how I am. I got 4 friends, like real friends, and they're the only ones that can come to my house. If it's a birthday party, you might get invited in the yard, but I don't really like people in my house. So if you've ever been to my house, consider yourself special. But we can go to a restaurant. I love to go out and eat. You can feed me and I'm good. And as a matter of fact, I'll pick up the tab. Rent a token. Damon says 1-800-TOKEN Caymanian. Rent a friend. Elvis on the Brack. Yes, big shout out to Elvis. Tracy's gonna give a shout out to Tamara Hurlston from West Bay. Yes, we know Tamara. Oh, I think she's trying to be vernacular there, Soka. Tracy, here's Soka Phillips. She is Marin. And yeah, child, she's a real stickler for spelling and grammar. She's the grammar queen on CMR, always keeping us in check. Shout out to my Newlanders, people from Savannah up here in the country. Who else we got here? Somebody has recommended a textbook called Stamped for Kids. It's about racism, anti-racism, and you. Textbook that they're recommending. There's lots of ways that we can have this conversation. Somebody says if they invite you for a cup of tea, then they're not Caymanian TD. What a hot mess. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Ooh. Siobhan said, I'm one of the original Hydes. Make sure you get it right. Mary Molly Hydes like that. My family went to Honduras when Cayman only had mosquitoes. You tell them your history, gal. Every other of my great-grandparents, siblings returned except for my grandma. She was kind of hot. Girl, you are silly. Stop it. Anyway, folks, have a beautiful day. Appreciate diversity. Hug your friends of all colors and shades and skin textures and hair and everything else. Just embrace it. By the way, I wanted to, on a more serious note, extend our condolences to our good friend, Charles Whitaker. His mom passed away yesterday, quite unexpectedly, unfortunately. And so I just want Charles and the rest of the family to know that we're thinking about them. Miss Beulah she always had a smile on her face. Every time I saw this woman, she had a smile on her face. Pleasant woman, pleasant personality. So we just want to extend our condolences to that family. And then also we had another young man I think he worked at the port actually, of Vernon. What is his first name? He passed away over the weekend as well. Mr. Howard Vernon passed away on Sunday. So we extend our condolences to the Vernon family as well. So again, Caymanians are experiencing loss. And, unfortunately, I think we all have to go that route, but we do extend our condolences to all the families who are dealing with those situations at the moment. Folks, tomorrow is another day, God's willing. We'll have another show, of course. We're edging ever so closer to being on the radio. I just had somebody message me, when are you going to be on the radio again? Because I ain't got nothing to listen to in the mornings. Soon come. Trust me, soon come. And this not Caymanian soon come. This is really soon come. Hopefully, March the 1st, I'm going to touch bases with the powers that be to make sure that everything is on schedule. But I think everything should be looking good. And yes, CMR is going to be on 89.1 FM, Bobo. A true local radio station. Catch you guys tomorrow.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.